Hey everyone. Welcome back to the third part of What If Naruto was written by Jiraiya the Gallant. As always, huge thanks to all of my Patreons. Making these videos would be impossible without you guys' support, especially with all the restrictions YouTube places on my type of content. As always, the rest of the story is already out over there for you guys, along with about 30 other different stories you can enjoy. Also, feel free to send me any messages over there if you have any questions or even if you just want to chat. Link to all of that will be in the description. Anyways, everyone, enjoy the video. Beauty of a Desert Rose, in between training, visiting the hospital, spending time with the Toads and learning from Jiraiya, the month passed in a flash. The only break Naruto took from his training, as he bordered on chakra exhaustion every night, was spending time with Gaara and Temari. The Sand siblings were introduced to his training clearing after the first week, and Naruto spent quite a bit of one-on-one time with Temari. The girl was beautiful, and Naruto felt himself growing closer to her. She was one of two things that seemed to alleviate the pain in his heart as Anko remained in a coma. The times that Naruto walked through the village with Temari were uncomfortable to say the least. Temari didn't understand why so many women were glaring at her while the rest of the villagers glared at Naruto. Naruto had told her about the grudge and how the villagers were almost unanimously on Neji's side. They were each hoping that the Hyuga prodigy would finally be able to rid the village of its demon. Too bad they were fated to be disappointed. Temari walked hand in hand with Naruto to Ichiraku's ramen. She loved the affectionate feeling that Naruto emanated, and she cherished the fact that she could be a girl/woman for the first time in her life. It was a new and exciting feeling for her, and it definitely helped that the feeling came with so much pleasure and so many orgasms. Kami, did Naruto know how to treat a woman? She shook herself from her pleasurable musings and answered the question Naruto asked. No, Baki cannot be trusted yet. We will petition father to change courses when he arrives. Then why does Baki let you spend time with me, Jiraiya and Karen? Naruto asked. He thinks we are spying and analyzing the biggest threat we face during the invasion. Temari answered flippantly. Naruto laughed at that. I am the biggest threat? Me? A Genin? Temari nodded with a silly grin on her face. Well, we both know you are no normal Genin. No shinobi can summon 500 shadow clones and have them sling around jutsu all day. Naruto shrugged. I am working in overload. I can't sustain it for much longer. I am training for 1 month and I am getting 500 months worth of memories, more or less. That is over 40 years of training. It just isn't sustainable. Temari's eyes widened. She had never thought of it that way. That sounds crazy now that you say it like that. So, what did you learn? Naruto smiled. Well, I mastered quite a few jutsu, increased my speed and strength, and I got Lord Second's water ability down. I think I am most proud of that last one. He said this before forming a ram hand sign and making Temari's leftover broth arc up out of her bowl and stream into his mouth. The girl gave him a sex-raised eyebrow in reply before she broke out in giggles as some of the brother trickled down his chin. Ayame came out in time to watch Temari lick the broth off his chin before placing a smacker of a kiss on Naruto's lips. Well, aren't you two getting chummy, Naruto-kun? Ayame asked with her hands on her hips. Naruto shrugged. When it is right, it is right. So, got time for your massage? Ayame blushed and nodded, and Naruto created a clone that went to the back of the stand with Ayame. He left money on the counter and left a hefty tip. Selling his seals to the Higurashi weapon shop had really paid off. He was going to enjoy having a clone bet on himself in the upcoming fight. Naruto stood up from his stool and offered Temari his hand. Where would my desert rose like to go next? He said suavely. Take me to bed and make me yours again, stud. She replied with a wink. A quick sunshine and a giggle-filled trip through the hallway landed Naruto and Temari in his king-sized bed together. The two were lip-locked and Temari was giggling as Naruto tickled her sides with chakra-infused fingertips. Water chakra was amazing when it came to tickling and foreplay. The natural progression demanded that foreplay took a downward journey, but Temari took control and inverted herself on top of him. As Naruto pulled down her panties, she reciprocated the gesture and uncovered the rocket that had repeatedly sent her to Cloud 9. She licked her lips and stroked it gently, but Naruto had beat her to the first punch as she gasped while a tongue further dampened her soaked slit. The potent aroma of the arousal and divine taste drove Naruto's tongue in deeper and earned huskier and sexier gasps from the Suna princess. Temari rose to the challenge and licked Naruto on the back of his shaft from sack to head before she wrapped her tongue around the head. Her eyes nearly rolled into the back of her head as the pre-cum saturated her taste buds and invigorated her senses. It drove her forward and the 8.5-inch length filled her mouth and tested the limitations of her throat. She honestly enjoyed the feeling, and the taste of this particular shaft was divine. The two drove each other wild and drove each other to potent release, Naruto his first and Temari her third. This time, her eyes rolled into the back of her head as her mouth and throat took the flavorful milk of life in. With her mind hazy and her vagina drenched, Temari did something she never thought that she would ask for. She crawled away for Naruto and shook her ass at him. Naruto raised an eyebrow as he looked at the rosebud glistening with Temari's release. "You sure? If it's with you, Foxy-sama, then, I am sure," she said with half-lidded eyes. Naruto lowered his head and ran his tongue from sweet lips to forbidden hole. He prepped the tight hole and made sure that he would make the first part of it as painless as possible. He raised himself onto his knees and lined his shaft up with his new angle of attack. He enjoyed Temari's gasp as the head of the monster put the slightest bit of head against the forbidden hole. He teased her with some light pleasure and waited for her to push back into him. Just as she was turning around to beg for it, Naruto pushed forward slowly and began the exploration of an unventured cavern. The walls initially resisted before spreading to accommodate their new guest. At 3 inches, Temari gasped and bit her lip as her head fell to the sheets. At 6 inches, Temari's hands balled into fists while grabbing the sheets. Fully sheathed, Temari let out the huskiest moan she had ever released, and Naruto had ever heard. Naruto kept his lower body still as he bent over Temari and peppered kisses on her neck and reached around to tend to her darker pink nipples. The Rasengan training gave him a new idea as he swirled chakra on her nipples. The immediate and intense reaction let Naruto know that it was working, maybe a little too well. Without his cock even moving, Naruto felt her whole body shudder and her anal canal tightened around and squeezed his shaft. With that squeeze, Naruto's hips began moving and Naruto ravaged the nearly unconscious woman. He could sense the pleasure overload in her chakra network and her panting only spurred him further onward. Each thrust sent sexy ripples through her incredible cheeks, each thrust ended with a moan from Temari, and each thrust beckoned him further to sweet release. It didn't take all that long for him to reach climax and Temari did actually pass out due to the new sensation of cum filling her ass. Naruto slumped down and guided Temari into a spooning position. He didn't remove himself from her, he had no desire to. They kept the soaked canal plugged and simply cuddled his lover. She was an amazing woman, and he appreciated the bond that was forming. He didn't know if it would ever be anything more than it was, but he did know that he would always protect Temari. Chunin Exam Finals. Naruto had trained like a true demon to prepare himself as much as he could throughout the month and tomorrow was the day that shit would hit the fan. The Hyuga clan had opened hostilities for all intents and purposes. They had immense pull throughout the village, and they were exercising their influence to make Naruto's life as difficult as possible. Too bad for them that Naruto grew up under these conditions and he was far more independent and capable at this age. One thing Naruto regretted was not being able to see Hinata. The heiress, or previous heiress, had been locked in the compound all month. He knew that she would need to be present tomorrow, but Naruto didn't know if that was a good thing. With the impending invasion, Naruto really didn't know if that were a good thing. Hinata would be at risk and if he won then there would be a serious chance of Hyuga attacking Hinata during the ensuing chaos. Part of him felt terrible that things had escalated to the point that she was in such a spot. On a separate note, Naruto was starting to get desperate when it came to Anko. The doctors had no clue what was keeping her in the coma, and they had stopped trying. She was getting nourishment through IVs and Naruto gave her a bit of blood and chakra every time he stopped by with no results. He had talked about it with Jiraiya and the old toad said that they would go look for Tsunade after the Chunin exams. Jiraiya seemed confident that if anybody could get Tsunade back into Konoha it would be Naruto. In terms of the invasion, Naruto had noticed preparations made and he had felt the anxiety and exhaustion of the elite shinobi. It became clear to Naruto that only Jonin and need-to-know personnel had been told of it. All in all the Hokage actually did a good job of keeping it under wraps. He had been asked to work with Jiraiya to work on some barrier seals for key locations, screening seals for the gates and defensive barriers for the VIP portions of the stands. During one such outing to the police precinct, Naruto got a chance to catch up with Mikado. She looked like she had had better days. The stress of rebuilding and running the damaged Uchiha clan was immense. Her second in command, Izumi Uchiha, one of Itachi's best friends, was also there. It was a nice break from training, and it was a good time to blow off some steam. He had joined the two for dinner and talked about things. They were both worried about Sasuke and they contemplated telling him the truth about Itachi and the Uchiha massacre. The overall consensus was that he would turn his rage and hatred towards the village, and it would end with him dead or imprisoned. They each wanted to tell him, but the fear of his reaction stayed their hands and stilled their tongues. After the talk of Sasuke passed, Naruto kept things light with Mikado. Some things were said, and the talk of Naruto's sex life got brought up by Izumi. She had laughed and flirted playfully with him in the living room. It was no longer a secret to any woman. The village had months of Anko proudly sharing stories of his prowess, and it had gotten a larger sample size during his early Jinan days. That talk morphed into talks of massages, and the two Uchiha women enjoyed Naruto's dedicated hands. The massages they received may or may not have made them shiver in release, it mattered not. The only thing they knew is that they felt like new women with a load off their shoulders when they woke up from their pleasurable sleep. Naruto smiled at the memories of the month, and he was going to do his final check-in with Temari, Gaara, and Kankuro. When he arrived at their hotel, he was promptly pushed away by Suna Shinobi and told that they were meeting with their father. Naruto could sense that they were okay, so he didn't push it, but he didn't like the feeling of their father's chakra. It was sinister and somewhat familiar to him, but not in a good way. Thus, his final day before the exams passed with ample opportunity for him to reflect because it was a rest day. He fell asleep reading some of Jiraiya's notes on advanced Fuinjutsu, and he was amused to see a couple of key errors in his godfather's Fuinjutsu theory. He knew it was the case. Jiraiya never missed a chance to admit it. He would always sing the praises of his mother and father while talking down his own skills. Funny how a super pervert could be so loud and boisterous, yet so willing to heap praise on others. Naruto fell asleep with a smile on his face while reading his godfather's notes. He awoke the next day and laughed at the excitement of Kurama. The Kitsune beauty was more than ready for the action, and Naruto had to admit that he felt the same himself. As he donned his gear, he was doing final checks for all of his equipment. The grudge would be announced officially today, so Naruto was going to be repping the Uzumaki clan with all he had. After putting everything on, he looked in the mirror and smirked proudly at his reflection. His hair had grown out to look much like his father's, and 2 bangs of blonde hair descended from the messy locks and framed his face. His face was trim, and there was almost no baby fat remaining as his jawline set in a startling representation of his father. Instead of his mesh shirt, Naruto was wearing a white beater that was sealed for temperature control and insulated against lightning chakra. Over the beater, Naruto threw on a combat vest of his own design. It was red and black with the red Uzumaki swirl displayed proudly on the chest. The vest was made of a treated Kevlar and traced in a chakra threaded weave. It had 2 straps about 3 inches thick that traced over his shoulder, and the vest itself covered from his sternum down to his navel. The vest was completely slash and stab resistant, and it would protect his vitals from most jutsu. See slick vest from Escape from Tarkov. Naruto wasn't wearing any jacket today because he wanted to show off his development to the crowd. If he needed it, it was tucked away in a seal on his vest for easy access. Naruto was wearing red and white baggy cargo pants that were tapered down at the ankles and tucked into shinobi shoes. Naruto preferred them over the sandals. The shoes were white with red laces and trim. Imagine Air Jordans, but replace the basketball guy with a kunai. Tucked into seal pouches on his utility belt were a variety of seals that Naruto had prepared for the occasion. He may have gone overboard in his preparation for this fight, but he had zero doubts that the Hyuga would pour every ounce of training they could into Neji. Like it fricking mattered. Neji got 1 month of training, and he got over 40 years. The strain of the month was intense, but his single-minded goal of getting stronger to protect those he loved spurred him forward. And today was about Hinata. He had worked so hard because he had dragged Hinata into this mess, and he would protect her and shield her from the consequences. Looking good, Ruto-kun. Kurama chirped through their link. Thanks, Q-chan. It will all be over after today. Naruto thought back. Nope, Kurama replied, today is just the beginning. Naruto chuckled at that, excited to open the seal so I can let you out? Duh. Kurama deadpanned. Jiraiya had agreed that Naruto was strong enough. There was no way he could deny Naruto's will after he witnessed the day in and day out dedication of the kid. I hear you, Q. Just hang tight. We have to get through today first. Naruto replied. After eating breakfast, Naruto walked to the arena. The streets were hectic, and the crowd was moving in a one-way clusterfuck towards the arena. Naruto got frustrated and decided to take the Shinobi Highway, which was also busier than normal. There were far more shinobi in the village than normal, and Naruto knew people had been pulled back for the invasion. They may not know why, but Naruto did. Naruto appeared in the stadium at 11:15 am, 45 minutes before the show was supposed to start. He followed the Anbu to a meeting room and saw the Hokage, Jiraiya, Hinata, Neji, Hiashi and a clan elder present. Hinata looked incredibly nervous, and she didn't seem like herself. She was even more fidgety than normal, and she wouldn't look him in the eye. Naruto really didn't like that. We are here today to confirm the validity of the grudge declared between Uzumaki Naruto and Hyuga Neji, Hiruzen said formally, but Naruto could see the exhaustion in his eyes. Do you both recognize the grudge and agree to the conditions set? I do. Naruto answered promptly. I do, Neji stated. Very well, the terms of the agreement are set and locked into a contract validated by the Fire Lord himself. You are each given a copy for your own records and the main copy will be held in the Hokage vault. Hiruzen handed them each a copy of the agreed upon terms. Naruto sealed his away. Hokage-sama, per terms of the agreement, Hinata was not to be touched. I wished to speak to Hinata in private to confirm these conditions were met. Hiruzen knew the forcefulness in his tone would settle for no less. I believe that to be reasonable. Hiashi objected, my daughter is present in front of you. Anything that need be said can be said in front of those present. Hiruzen narrowed his eyes, Hyuga Dono, it is not unreasonable. Hokage-sama, I have no reason to trust the boy. Hinata, Naruto called out firmly and got Hinata to look up. Are you okay? Hinata hesitated and nodded meekly, but the flare in her chakra alerted Naruto that something was wrong. That was when Naruto noticed her headband was being worn over her forehead and not around her neck. Naruto damn near lost it right there. Hinata, he called out forcefully once more. Take off your headband. Hiruzen's eyes widened, and his head snapped to Hinata. Hiashi, you didn't. A Hyuga has no needs to listen to the demands of a demon brat. The elder spoke and Hiruzen and Jiraiya were forced to restrain Naruto. The Hokage's eyes glowed with fury and his ki flattened the elder and caused Hiashi's stoic visage to crack. Sarutobi Hiruzen, Sandaime Hokage of Konoha, order Hyuga Hinata to remove her headband. Hinata hesitantly did so and displayed the caged bird seal to those present in the room. Naruto lost his shit as he shook Jiraiya off, slipped under Hiruzen's arms and landed a straight kick on Hiashi's chest that sent him flying through the wall of the meeting room. The elder was raising his hands to activate the caged bird seal, but Naruto blurred forward with a katana that responded to the pulse of chakra. It appeared in his hand and in 2 quick slashes, the elder's hands were removed and Neji was held at sword point to his neck. Hokage-sama, they have violated the terms of the grudge and declared openly that they have no honor. I petition them for the right to place protective seals on Hinata that will shelter her from any Hyuga that would seek to activate her seal. I furthermore request that she is placed under my protection per the terms of the signed grudge. Failure to do this will result in a lot of dead Hyuga on this day, no matter what may be coming later. His voice came out in a demonic growl that was saturated with killing intent potent enough to make Jiraiya and Hiruzen wince. Naruto, you need to calm down, Jiraiya said. No, Jiraiya, they violated the terms of the agreement and essentially took a hostage that was an active duty shinobi under my purview. Uzumaki Naruto, I permit you to do whatever you deem necessary to protect Hyuga Hinata, Hiruzen said in a firm voice that earned outrage from Neji. The clan elder was still screaming about his hands and Hiashi had yet to re-enter the room. Naruto grabbed Hinata, picked her up into a prince's carry and disappeared in a swirl of water. A stunned silence hung over the room as Anbu finally moved to help the elder. Hiruzen sighed wearily and rubbed the bridge of his nose. Jiraiya put a comforting hand on his shoulder and gave it a gentle squeeze to let him know that he was there for him. How did I know the Hyuga would pull something like this? Hiruzen said wearily while a migraine set in. Jiraiya shook his head. Hatred makes people do stupid things, sensei. It will be okay though, now that he has gone this far, no harm will come to that girl. That isn't the problem here, Jiraiya, Hiruzen said exasperatedly. The problem is that there is now a lawful and open war within the boundaries of Konoha. Furthermore, I have no doubt that Naruto will see it through and take the most prominent clan in Konoha down quite a few pegs. Hiruzen forgot that Neji was still in the room stuck somewhere between shock and rage. It was at this point that Hiashi entered the room holding his chest accompanied by an Anbu guard. Where is my daughter? He roared. You and your clan violated the terms of the agreement and as such you forfeit that what was wagered. Your daughter has been taken to a safe location and your actions have brought war to my village. Ask nothing of me, Hiashi, for you have brought this on yourselves, Hiruzen said firmly. You cannot let that happen, Hiashi roared and activated his Byakugan, which caused the Anbu to step in front of the Hokage. You cannot prioritize the petty feelings of one boy over the village. That is one clan heir to 2 great clans, one of which is a founding clan and holds higher status in this village than your own. The grudge was witnessed by the clan council and the Fire Lord. Your pride has brought this unto your clan, Hiashi. My only advice to you is to make peace before your whole clan is brought to ruin. Hiruzen fired back in a firm tone. You will regret this day, Hokage, Hiashi spat before grabbing Neji and leaving the room. Well, this is going to get interesting. Think they will attack him during what's to come? Jiraiya said. Would they be successful in doing so? Hiruzen asked. Do they have any ranks? Jiraiya replied cheekily already knowing the answer. Hiruzen's eyes widened. You believe the boy to be's rank already? Jiraiya chuckled. He said something repeatedly over the month that stuck with me. With his clones, he got over 42 years of training time done in the last month alone. He may lack the experience of a true rank shinobi, but he can tango with me when I am not using Sage Mode, and he is far better at Kenjutsu than I ever was or could hope to be. With Naruto and Hinata, they appeared in the Forest of Death at the cabin that Anko used. It was a rundown location, but Naruto had sealed it up and he knew the girls would be safe in there. He guided a shaky Hinata through the 5 barriers before they entered the cabin, and he set her down on the couch. He got down into a catcher's stance in front of her and lifted her chin so that she would look him in the eye. Karen watched on with wide eyes. She had agreed to stay out of the action today for fear of the invasion and Hyuga clan. Hinata-chan, Naruto spoke softly, and the girl looked up and locked eyes with him. It is going to be okay, you are safe now. Hinata lunged forward and hugged Naruto before she began bawling her eyes out. Naruto rubbed her back and comforted her the best he could, but he needed to get back to the stadium. Hinata's emotions were screaming out in a desperate self-loathing that made her hate her own weakness. Naruto pushed her back and looked into her watery eyes. Hey, princess, do you trust me? He asked softly, and Hinata nodded. Good, I'm going to put a temporary seal over that one. It will disable the prisoner function, and when I am done today, I will find a way to remove that seal. The Hyuga have nothing on the Uzumaki when it comes to seals. Thank you, she said shakily. Naruto placed a kiss on her forehead and pulled out the seal he had made. He was going to put it on Neji to make a point, but this was a much better use for it. He applied the tag over the cursed seal and lightly pulsed his own chakra into it. The tag obscured the seal and blended in to match the color of her pale flesh. There, all done, Haim, he whispered and kissed her on the forehead once more. Before Naruto could leave, she limply grabbed his arm in a pleading fashion. Please don't kill Neji. It's not his fault. Finally, Hinata passed out as she was prone to do. Naruto settled her on the couch and looked to Karen. I trust you to look after her. There are no visitors. Do not leave this house for any reason until I, or a clone of myself, comes to grab you. Got it, Ruto. Go out there and stick it to them. Karen replied with an understanding smile before she pulled Naruto into a hug. Will do, Karen-chan. Thanks, and feel free to watch the exams on the TV. I rigged it so that you would be able to watch the broadcast. Naruto replied before walking out of the house. Naruto felt a memory from the clone he sent to watch over Anko. There was no way he was going to leave her alone during the invasion. Dumbass motherfuckers. Did they really think I would leave one of my girls unprotected? Probably, Kurama said. They are prideful idiots, and I for one hope they do something stupid. Like try to break through a lightning barrier? Naruto asked cheekily before he burst out laughing at the memory of the clone in the hospital. Naruto appeared in a water sunshine in the arena at 12:01 p.m. and people were looking at him expectantly. He simply shrugged in response, but he caught the worried look on Tamari's face. He would talk to her after his fight. He also noticed that Sasuke wasn't present, and neither was Dosu. This was turning into a shit show already. Will all contestants except Uzumaki Naruto and Hyuga Neji please leave the field? Will the witnesses to the grudge please come down to the field? Shiranui Genma called out. Why was Genma the proctor now? Jiraiya and Hiashi appeared on the field and the Hokage stood to address the crowd. The people instantly quieted down and the Hokage spoke. People of Fire Country and honorable guests, I welcome you to Konoha for the Chunin exam finals. During the preliminary battles, a grudge was issued by Uzumaki Naruto, clan heir of the Uzumaki clan, to Hyuga Neji, member of the Hyuga clan. The grudge was ratified by our village council and by the Fire Lord himself. This fated match allowed the grudge to be settled in a sanctioned arena. This fight is a fight to the death or until one party unconditionally surrenders and forfeits the agreed upon items in the grudge. There was a violation of the grudge agreement already, but that has already been rectified. I, Sarutobi Hiruzen, with my authority as the Sandaime Hokage, allow this match and will see it through as the primary witness. The crowd remained so quiet you could hear a fly fart and Jiraiya's booming voice cut into the silence. I, Jiraiya of the Sanin, stand as witness for Uzumaki Naruto. I, Hyuga Hiashi, stand as witness for Hyuga Neji, Hiashi said proudly while glaring at Naruto. He then whispered under his breath, lose, demon, or your girlfriend gets it. Naruto laughed in Hiashi's face. Hyuga-san, the 2 you sent to the hospital are in the ER. If you attempt it again, I won't stop at ruining your clan. I will kill you all. The crowd gasped at Naruto's threat when the seals picked up his voice and amplified it for the crowd. Just goes to show you really are a demon. Hiashi bit back. Enslaving one's own brother and using him as a sacrifice to pay for one's own sin is something a demon would do. I, for one, have done nothing of the sort. Naruto taunted and got the desired result out of the Hyuga clan head. Hiashi was enraged and the bulge in his temple was so pronounced you could see his pulse. If Jiraiya weren't there, he likely would have attacked Naruto. Genma cleared his throat and adjusted the senbone in his mouth. It is as Hokage says. Once the fight starts, only unconditional surrender or death can end the match. Ready? Begin. Naruto stared Neji down while in a completely relaxed position. Neji could tell he had something in his hand, but he couldn't tell what it was. So, Neji, little pathetic bitch of fate, do you wish to surrender and end this foolishness? Neji snarled and lowered into a ready position. You are fated to lose. Nobody can stand against the prowess of the Hyuga clan. You are mighty proud of that clan you love to hate, aren't you? Naruto said while maintaining his relaxed attitude. It didn't fool Neji. Naruto's eyes were in that flint mode and they projected an immense calm and pressure upon Neji. You do not know our ways and openly mock the greatest clan in Konoha, Neji spat. Greatest clan? Name one Hyuga that ranks in the top 10 of Konoha's history? Can you? Naruto challenged with a raised eyebrow and waited as Neji sputtered in rage. Let me bring down the mighty Hyuga clan a peg or two. Naruto held up one or two fingers and then shrugged. You claim that you possess the ultimate taijutsu, do you not? Neji scoffed, our taijutsu is unrivaled. Wrong. Your taijutsu is deadly, but by its nature, it is flawed. Want to know how? Naruto asked with a foxy smirk growing on his face. Hikari was nearing her first release from Naruto's display of dominance already. When Neji didn't answer, Naruto continued. Activate your beloved Byakugan and tell me what you see, I will wait, Naruto said while stretching out his toned arms for all to see. Neji activated his Byakugan and let out a gasp of surprise. The only tenketsu he could see were on Naruto's arms and head. What have you done? Naruto belted out a laugh. He was really surprised the guy hadn't attacked recklessly yet. First weakness of the Hyuga clan. You target tenketsu, but you can shield the chakra circulatory with a simple seal. As punishment and further embarrassment to the Hyuga clan, I'm going to publish this seal. There it was. That did the trick. Neji dashed forward in a fit of rage with palms glowing with chakra. Naruto simply channeled chakra to the tag he was holding and when Neji was 5 feet away, he ran headlong into an overcharged electric barrier that zapped Neji like a bug and sent him flying backwards. Naruto dropped the spent tag to the ground and let his smirk encompass his entire face as he looked down on the twitching Hyuga. Lesson 2. The Hyuga clan is so caught up in the false pride of their flawed taijutsu that they don't practice that many range techniques. A simple electric barrier was enough to put you on your ass. Shall we continue? Naruto added a cheeky pause in as he watched Neji get back to his feet shakily. Lesson 3, Naruto called out while holding hand signs for a jutsu that shocked the spies from Kiri before he disappeared in a cloud of mist and his voice began echoing all around. The Byakugan is sensitive to chakra, but if you lace chakra into your cover, the vaunted eyes will see nothing. I bet it looks like a bright blue cloud to you, doesn't it, Neji? Neji spun around in a panic as everywhere he looked was bright blue as the potency of Naruto's chakra encompassed the field in an impenetrable fog. Then, the taunting continued. What is the honorable Hyuga clan without their eyes? A family that enslaves their own. For those of you that do not know, every Hyuga member that wears the headband on their forehead is essentially a slave. They claim that the caged bird seal protects their holy eyes, and to an extent it does. What they don't want you to know is that there is a prisoner function in the seal. With a simple hand sign. Naruto stopped here and used the hand sign and chakra frequency that one of his clones watched main branch members use. Neji's screams terrified those in the crowd as they filled the air in the arena. Naruto released the seal and let Neji breathe. He took great joy in the panicked shouts of the Hyuga clan. They could see nothing, do nothing, and he got to air all of their dirty laundry. He is going to win this war now. You see, dear audience, that was the power of the prisoner function of the seal. The main branch family loves the seal and hates Hyuga Hinata, a friend of mine, because she wants to abolish the use of this seal. Slavery is illegal in Fire Country, yet we tolerate a so-called prominent family using the seal. I ask you, Kenji-sama, as the daimyo of Hai no Kuni, do you allow slavery in your lands? Naruto paused here, not knowing if he would get a response. Kenji had been watching the show with the slightest trace of amusement on his face. Clans like the Hyuga clan played the political game and they had given him a fair number of headaches. When he was informed that the Hyuga clan had violated a grudge that he had taken the time to ratify, he was upset. Daimyo do not get pissed or lose their cool, such actions are for commoners. Thus, Kenji did something fairly out of character for one of his station. Kenji rose from his seat and spoke into the arena in a loud and powerful voice worthy of a man of his station. I do not. Thank you, Daimyo-sama. As an agent pledged to you, do you wish me to remove the cursed cage bird seal in order to purge your lands of such a practice? Naruto wasn't expecting an answer to this one. Kenji remained standing and looked down on the field with a small smile on his face before answering. Such were the terms of the grudge agreement signed. The mist cleared to show Naruto on bended knee, and he was bowing to Kenji with one arm in a salute and the other tucked behind his back. It was the perfect salute of loyalty that he received from his most prominent samurai. Then I, Uzumaki Namikaze Naruto, will uphold your law and fulfill your will. Kenji didn't reply, he simply sat back down with a smile on his face at the stunned reaction of the audience. Neji was incensed and he saw the enemy bowing with his back to him. He ran forward and closed the distance in less than 2 seconds before sinking into his stance. You are within range of my divination, 8 trigrams, 64 palms. Neji lashed out at blinding speed and delivered 64 strikes into Naruto. Naruto was able to dodge and maneuver his head, but he was unable to defend his arms from the strikes. The dual palm thrust into his chest sent him stumbling back, but Naruto just raised his eyes with a devilish smirk on his face. That tickled, Neji, Naruto said. You see, my arms may be a bit tingly, but they will be fine. My chest, well, my chest is just fine. Not a single one of your little finger pokes did any real damage. Naruto tapped a seal on his belt and pulled out 2 tags that he held up and showed Neji. They each bore the kanji for water in the center of the seal. Before Neji could react, Naruto threw the 2 seals towards Neji after channeling chakra into them. Neji was sent rolling by a tidal wave of water that exploded rapidly out of the tags. Naruto had jumped in the air and landed on the water with both arms held behind his back. He used this time to sense the Hyuga clan and they were all on their feet with their Byakugan blaring. Naruto smiled as he took out a bundle of tags that had the kanji for light explosion in the center of an array that most could instantly identify as an explosive seal. Naruto attached them all to a single kunai and waited for Neji to regain his footing. The water that covered the arena was now 5 feet deep and Neji was struggling to pull himself up. When he looked up at Naruto, Naruto was more than happy to see traces of fear on his face. In the rookie section, people were watching the match play out in stunned disbelief. Their Jonin sensei were all quiet and gawking. Huji had long since stopped eating and he remained frozen with one potato chip poised to go in the grinder that was just hanging open. Sakura didn't even know what to say to her teammates' display, she just couldn't believe how strong Naruto was. Guy was hanging his head as he watched the public dismantling of Neji. He would publicly support his student, but in his youthful heart of hearts, he knew that this needed to be done. Asuma was watching with an analytical eye. He had been surprised when Kenji actually spoke and taken Naruto's side. This whole thing had gotten incredibly out of hand, and he couldn't calculate how it would end. Shikaku Nara was watching with his full attention given to the display. By using the terms of a grudge match, Naruto set the stage to air all of the dirty laundry and turn the tides of public support for the Hyuga clan. Up in the cage's box, Orochimaru was taking notes. He didn't like Minato's son, but this was the best demonstration of breaking someone's will that he had ever seen. He hadn't said a word to his sensei the whole time as he enjoyed the tasty humiliation of the Pampas clan. He had never, and will never, liked the Hyuga clan. They were only the most prominent because the Uzumaki, Senju and Uchiha clans were killed off and whittled down by the 3 successive wars. He was just going to lean back in his seat and watch the Kyuubi brat humiliate Konoha in a way that he never could on live television. Hiruzen was watching the display with pursed lips. This was doing untold amounts of damage to Konoha, but it would be good for the village in the long run. He knew Orochimaru was beside him and he knew the intentions of his student on this day. Hiruzen was tired of the job, and he wanted to go out on a bang and not a whimper. He wanted to right one of the greatest wrongs that he had ever committed, and he wanted to go to the afterlife with his old student. That being said, the professor in him was thoroughly enjoying the thorough humiliation and dismantling of a practice that was totally barbaric and devoid of humanity. Naruto had waited long enough, it was time for the show to go on. You know, people of Fire Country, the sad thing is that this kid here is a victim. He had to watch, bear and grin when his own fellow branch family members were abused, beaten, treated like second-class citizens and even raped. The Hyuga clan would never admit it in public, but clan records kept by Hyuga Hisashi documented over 180 cases of rape during his tenure as the manager of the branch family. It is disgusting and it is time for it to end. This earned gasps of shock and disgust and caused muttering to break out in the crowd. Neji had risen to his feet, but he was defeated. His will to fight was erased as his shame was laid bare for the whole world to see. Everything he hated about the clan that he was forced to keep secret was now said aloud in front of the world. In a strange way, Naruto just did exactly what he wanted to do his whole life. He shamed the shameful main family of the Hyuga. He simply looked up with dead eyes at Naruto. He was surprised to see a grim smile of understanding. Naruto turned and looked right at the Hyuga portion of the audience that were being stopped from interfering by multiple squads of Anbu. Hyuga Hiashi, as clan head of the Hyuga clan, do you wish to concede the grudge and end this nonsense? Hiashi didn't respond because his elders did for him. Never. You will die for this, you demon brat. Naruto shrugged and didn't wait for another word. Neji, do you want to know the saddest thing? This caused the audience to pause, and Naruto spoke as Neji stood limply atop the water. Your cousin, Hinata, the one you tried to kill to shame the evil main branch, the one your family branded with the caged bird seal in violation of our agreement, your cousin asked me to spare your life before I came here. I do not wish to kill you, Hyuga Neji, for there is nothing left to kill. Neji remained frozen with his eyes down on the water. All of the training his clan forced him through would not help him in the slightest against Naruto, and he didn't even want to win anymore. His life goal was accomplished, and he was ready to die. He looked up slowly and into Naruto's eyes. Then kill me. If you do not, this grudge will continue and destroy the ones you love. No, you will live. Naruto replied firmly. I do not wish to live. You do not know what it is like. You do not know what it is like to be branded with a seal that enslave you. A seal that robs you of your humanity by putting you are the whims of evil men. Neji was cut off by Naruto laughing. Hiruzen groaned and facepalmed himself as he watched Naruto remove his armor. He knew what was coming and it was going to cause headaches. Oh well, he planned on dying today anyways. Orochimaru was leaning forward in his seat. This child went from a shitless to a golden boy in less than 20 minutes. This was an absolutely amazing performance, and he was here for it. The crowd gasped as Naruto pocketed the kunai with the flash tags and pulled up his shirt and channeled chakra to Kurama's seal. He then spoke in a soulful tone that carried every bit of pain and hatred inspired by the villagers. I was given this seal at birth. The villagers know my birthday as the Kyuubi attack, and the adults know the truth while the younger generation was fed a lie. On October 10th, almost 15 years ago, my own father sealed the Kyuubi and Kitsune into me. He only asked that I be taken care of and seen as a hero for imprisoning the fox. I was treated like less than human for the first 14 years of my life by 95% of this village. My medical records show 142 visits to the hospital between ages 1 and 11. After age 11, people stopped attempting to kill me because I was forced to defend myself against 10 shinobi and a mob of civilians. I could go on, but tell me, Hyuga Neji, tell me that I don't know what it is like to be branded with a seal that robs me of my humanity. That's because you are the demon, someone shouted and got a number of people shouting the same. You are the Kyuubi, another shouted, and the arena filled with shrieks and screams of the people of Konoha. You see, Neji, this is what I grew up in. This is what I fight to protect. You were dealt a shit hand, no doubt about that. I may even say that you made out pretty good for the hand you were given. However, your treatment of Hinata earned you this ass whooping, so take it like a man. Naruto blurred forward atop the water, left awake behind him. Neji was assaulted by brutal fists and kicks. He screamed out in pain as his nose was shattered, his arm was broken, and his ribs were cracked. The beatdown lasted less than a minute, but it ended with Neji sinking into the water. Naruto weaved through hand signs and called out, "Water style, water prison jutsu." And he pulled a sizable globe of hardened water that contained Neji out of the man-made lake that was the arena. Naruto held the prison and looked to the Hokage and then to the daimyo. He got down on one knee and bowed his head to Kenji. Kenji-sama, I do not wish to kill this man, but I will not lose. I will protect those I love at any cost. I implore your judgment on this match. Kenji rose once more and let a small smile show on his face. Uzumaki Namikaze Naruto, I pronounce you winner of this match and spare the life of Hyuga Neji. As you will, Daimyo-sama. Naruto released the water prison and caught Neji. A stunned silence hung over the arena, and nobody knew what to do about it. That was when 8 Hyuga elders jumped the wall and entered the arena. Naruto held up his hands in a stop motion to the Anbu. He handed off Neji to a clone of his that took his to get medical treatment, and he glared down the elders. The oldest elder, Hyashi's father and Naruto remembered correctly, shouted, "Per terms of the grudge, we claim the right to fight. The Hyuga will never surrender to you." Naruto glanced to Kenji and saw him wave off his guards before giving Naruto the smallest of nods. "Very well, then you die today." Naruto replied back in a steady voice. Naruto grabbed the flash kunai he had primed and waited for the right moment. As soon as all 8 elders were in range of his jutsu, He tossed the kunai at the elders like he was simply tossing it for them to catch and toss back. As it was traveling through the air, Naruto blurred through hand seals as 8 Hyugas charged into his domain. The flash went off and they were greeted by the water swirling into a vortex that disrupted their footing, which in combination with the pain and surprise of the flash, caught 4 of them off guard and they were trapped in the swirling tides. The remaining 4 jumped in the air towards Naruto and let loose air palms, which sent blasts of compressed air at Naruto. Naruto dodged the blasts and continued the chain of hand signs. The water swirled up into a vortex that prepared to drill and crash into the Hyuga's landing zone. 3 domes of chakra, signature move of the main family, repelled most of the water. However, the water settled over them and there was nothing they could do about it. Naruto's hands glowed with lightning chakra as he clapped them together before placing them on the water and insulating himself. Billions of volts of electricity coursed through the water and electrified the elders trapped in its depths. Not even the Kaiden could stop the overflowing electricity in the water as the poor bastards were electrocuted in front of thousands of people. Naruto kept his hands on the water until he saw the final Hyuga stop twitching and he stood up slowly. That electromagnetic murder was so overloaded it was probably nearing his rank jutsu and the results spoke for themselves. Naruto remained standing atop the water as the bodies floated around aimlessly on the surface. It was an eerie sight that served to hush the members of the crowd that weren't still blinded from the bundle of flash tags. Naruto saw that a good portion of the remaining Hyuga were stumbling around blindly and had no idea what was going on. Chakra sensitivity was a thing they really needed to prepare against in the future. He looked slowly towards Hiashi and saw that the man had jumped down onto the surface of the water. He had each hand tucked into the sleeve of the other and he was walking slowly with his eyes closed. He looked to be visibly restraining his rage in an attempt to regain his stoic composure that the Hyuga were known for. Naruto really didn't want to kill Hinata's father, but if the man attacked him, he wouldn't hold back. When Hiashi was 10 feet from him, he opened his eyes and spoke. The Hyuga clan requests negotiations to end the grudge. He spoke softly but firmly so only Naruto could hear. Do you give me your word that you will not attack me should I lower my guard? Naruto asked softly, but loudly enough to be picked up by the seals in the arena. Yes. Hiashi replied and Naruto could sense no fluctuations in his chakra. Naruto unsealed one of the privacy barriers that he kept in his sealing pouch. They were incredibly useful, and he always had a couple on him. He palmed the tag and channeled enough chakra to it so that it created a 30-foot diameter privacy bubble. To the audience outside, those of them that could still see, Naruto and Hiashi had just disappeared. Of course, those skilled in genjutsu or detecting chakra would be able to see the slight shimmer of the barrier. I am listening, Hyuga Dono, and we cannot be heard by anyone outside the barrier, Naruto said plainly. Hiashi opened his eyes and glared balefully at Naruto. You took it too far, Naruto. You let them brand her. Naruto countered passionately. When you approached me, you promised me that she would be safe. When we made our side agreement, you told me that you had things under control. If I didn't sense it out then they could have killed her or used her as a hostage against me. I took my pound of flesh, broke your clan down to its foundations, got the daimyo to see the need for change and I spared your nephew. Hiashi nodded his head in shame and conceded the point. Very well, with the elders dead, there should be very little resistance remaining. Naruto scoffed, I just killed 8 of 14 of your counselors. If you can't reel it in with the branch family free, then it is not my fault. Hiashi nodded with a frown on his face, I agree. I will likely have to step down to atone for this mess. Hinata will have to be disowned for the sake of the clan, but I entrust her safety and happiness to you. You will treasure it much more than my clan would have. Naruto nodded resolutely at that. He needed a break from this nonsense already and he wasn't much in the mood for negotiations. So, you accept the full terms of surrender per the grudge agreement? Hiashi nodded and chuckled slightly while shaking his head ruefully, I have no other choice. I have no doubt that you would be able to do crippling damage to my clan and its honor, what little remains of it. Please drop the barrier. Naruto complied and Hiashi moved into an L-shaped bow. I, Hyuga Hiashi, concede to Uzumaki Namikaze Naruto and accept the agreed upon terms per the grudge agreement ratified by Hokage-sama and Daimyo-sama. Very well, I, Uzumaki Namikaze Naruto, accept your surrender and lay down my grudge. Naruto replied proudly and stoically. This, of course, earned a stunned and mixed reaction from the crowd. Many were still rubbing out their eyes and trying to come to terms with the fact that the demon brat had just single-handedly bested the greatest clan in Konoha. They never would have imagined it possible, and it was something that their fragile minds were not ready for on the day of celebration. Naruto had subjected them to too much information and the overload was crippling their ability to think straight. Hinata and Karen were watching the television with their hands clamped over their mouths in worry for most of the display. Naruto was taking on the Hyuga in open combat in the court of public opinion, and he was making a lot of enemies by doing so. She was eternally grateful that he was willing to go so far for her sake, but it only made her love him more and worry about him more. She couldn't rip her eyes away from the screen, and she wanted to run to him and be by his side, but she knew that would only put him in more danger. The rookies were still rubbing out their eyes in an attempt to get the glowing suns off of their retinas. The Jonin sensei had enough experience to close their eyes before the tags went off, but even through their eyelids it had been a nearly blinding experience. Despite this, they were talking animatedly about what just happened. "I can't believe the brat just did it," Asuma said while placing a fresh cancer stick in between his lips. "It is literally the craziest thing I have ever seen. Like the fools made in a shogi match, it was just perfect." Might Guy was weeping openly at the display. It was such a youthful display by young Naruto. "He spared my student and was able to negotiate a peace that fulfills my unyouthful student's dream." "Guy-sensei," Lee shouted and stumbled around blindly before latching onto his sensei in a bone-crunching hug. Kurenai was shaking her head. "I hate his for his perversions, but after this there is no way Hinata will ever give him up." Hana Inuzuka barked out a laugh at that. "Did you not hear about the terms of the grudge? Hinata is now officially Naruto's fiancé, whether you want it or not." Kurenai let a low growl escape her throat. "I will kill that little bastard." "Kurenai-sensei, your statement is illogical. First, Naruto is approximately 6 inches taller than you. Second, Naruto has achieved Hinata's dream for her, or nearly done so at least. Third, Hinata-san love him and would never forgive you for harming him." Shino broke it down Aburame style for her, which made the group laugh. He had walked out of the contestants' box to check in with his sensei and overheard the conversation. Kiba's howl of laughter echoed across the arena and had the unintended effect of snapping the crowd out of its daze. "That was awesome. Good breakdown, Shino. Ah ha 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 ha." Hiruzen looked like he had aged another year or two as he sat back in his chair. His student was cackling in his signature way and in a manner Rasa would never do. That being said, Hiruzen's Anbu had yet to report back on the whereabouts of the Kazekage. He glanced from his peripheral at Orochimaru. How would he handle this? Why was he letting his student have the initiative? Oh, yeah, he really wanted to go out in a bang. Stupid and senile fantasies of an old monkey long past his prime. Back in the arena, Naruto had created 2 tags and sealed up 90% of the water. The sandy ground of the arena was drenched, and it would provide for some muddy matches to come. He pocketed the 2 seals and was joined in his walk back to the contestants' box by his godfather. The crowd seeing the 2 of them together began murmuring, and it seems like a few more of them were making the link between the last names he used in a formal contract. The murmuring intensified to a dull roar before they were able to get back to the box. "So, how much did you put on me?" Naruto asked his Kyofu. Jiraiya cackled and got a perverted look on his face. "Let's just say my dream of buying up every bathhouse in Konoha is attainable now. Barring that, I will not have to take any money out of my account for my extracurricular studies for at least a year." Naruto shook his head. "You are incorrigible. Well, I suppose I should send a clone to collect my winnings before the surprise starts." Jiraiya frowned. "With your match done, Sensei is sending me to the front gates. It is almost as if he is trying to get rid of you." Naruto pondered, and Jiraiya nodded with a frown on his face. He has made his peace and resolved to do this. As his student, it is my duty to respect his wishes so long as it doesn't further endanger Konoha. Naruto shook his head. Old men and their pride. Maybe I will understand it someday, but for now, it just seems foolish. Jiraiya ruffled Naruto's hair. Just worry about keeping your loved ones safe. I sent a clone to reinforce yours in Anko's room. With the way you have that room sealed, it will survive anything the invasion throws at it. Thanks, Kyofu, Naruto said before entering the contestant's box to see every eye turn to him. He shrugged in response. What? You troublesome bastard, Shikamaru said while shaking his head. Ino laughed at that and shook her head at Naruto. The way you broke them down, it was wonderful. Like something out of the Yamanaka's playbook. Well done. Naruto was surprised by Ino's high praise, and he was glad she didn't know he was the one that broke into her clan vaults. Thanks, Ino. He looked up to Temari. You alright? Temari looked distressed and close to breaking down. Baka, you could have gotten yourself killed. Fighting that many elders at once. Naruto waved her off. I know their tricks and I exploited their weaknesses. Sorry for the blinding. She looked at him in a way that said they needed to talk, and her eyes darted to Gaara, who had remained silent this whole time. Will Uchiha Sasuke and Subaku no Gaara please report to the arena floor? Genma's shaky voice carried across the stadium. Naruto looked at Temari and nodded his head to the hallway that led to the stadium. She shook her head minutely in the negative and her eyes darted towards where Baki was standing. Naruto nodded slightly once more. He really didn't like where this was going, and he hated the inevitable outcome of it. He looked to the arena floor and analyzed Gaara closely. He was acting differently, or should he say indifferently. Naruto's mind raced with the possible causes for this, but he didn't like any of the conclusions that he reached. Ruto, sit down and meditate. Top off your chakra and calm your mind. Kurama's soothing voice garnered his attention and he complied immediately. That was a masterwork piece of theater you just performed. It was so inspiring that I changed panties 3 times before just deciding to do away with them. Naruto chuckled and appeared within the mindscape to take a meditative position. Kurama wrapped herself over his shoulders and placed a kiss on his cheek. He leaned into her embrace and enjoyed her touch before he truly dove deep into his meditation. His thoughts were jumbled now, and he needed to focus himself and drive out the distractions. It was much easier said than done, but he was getting used to his meditation and it produced marvelous results. When it came to increasing the efficiency of his training and organizing the clone's jumbled memories. Outside the seal, the arena was growing agitated while waiting for Uchiha Sasuke to report in. The Kazekage had already gotten a 10-minute extension and there was still no sign of him. Anbu had been dispatched to look for him and they had not returned. Finally, Hiruzen said that his match would be pushed to the end of the first round. This then gave way to Kankuro surrendering his fight for unknown reasons, which made it Tamari's turn. It was her gentle touch on his shoulders that made Naruto's eyes snap open, and he watched her walk into the hallway that took her down to the arena floor. Naruto followed after her discreetly after placing Baki in a double-layered, false surroundings genjutsu. He caught up with her and hugged her from behind. He placed a gentle kiss on her neck, and she leaned into it before spinning around and capturing his lips. It was a quick kiss, but when she pulled back, she was in business mode. Ruto, the meeting with my father did not go well. They did something to Gaara, and he hasn't been the same since. He threatened our lives and told us to fall in line, Tamari said in a panic. Naruto shushed her and pulled her into him. Any idea what they did to Gaara? Tamari shook her head as tears fell into Naruto's shoulder. No, but it was nothing good. They kept him away from us last night. Naruto pet her hair and just let her fall into his embrace. A minute later, he pushed her back and placed a searing kiss on her lips. You let me handle Gaara. Just go deal with the lazy ass and don't underestimate him. That being said, conserve your chakra because I get a feeling shit is going to start hitting the fan soon. Tamari nodded weakly before shaking her head and going into battle mode. If you have time, use your abilities on my dad. He was acting extremely odd. Naruto nodded and slapped her on the ass on her way down to the arena. He treasured the eep that he drew out of her, and he went back into the contestants' box. He undid the minor genjutsu that Baki hadn't noticed when he retook his seat. Shino had returned to the box after Kankuro's forfeit and he looked at Naruto with the analytical gaze of the Aburame. Naruto just shrugged and winked at him, which made the Aburame shake his head. You did it again, didn't you? The bug boy whispered. Naruto chuckled sheepishly. You know me, Shino, I would rather make love than war. Was that display earlier not an act of war? Shino countered. Naruto sighed. You can't make love to a bunch of stuck-up assholes. What you saw earlier was most definitely tactical warfare. And with the Suna princess? He pressed. A whole lot of lovin'. Naruto replied cheekily. Shino shook his head stoically. It was the Aburame way, after all. I do not understand you, Uzumaki Naruto, but I do like you. Aw, thanks, Shino. Shit. I told her not to underestimate him, Naruto hissed. That is the power of the Nara. Shino replied. And that, my Aburame friend, is the laziness of the Nara, Naruto said while busting a gut laughing. What a lazy bastard, Ino lamented. The crowd quieted as it was once again time for the Uchiha to appear. 10 minutes had passed and Gaara was waiting with his arms crossed in front of his chest and a placid look on his face. He looked to the proctor, who had been communicating via hand signs with the Hokage. Genma sighed and nodded before speaking. Uchiha Sasuke has 1 minute left to report before he is disqualified for tardiness and forfeits the match, Genma said to the agitated audience. 59 sankens later, as Genma was opening his mouth to speak, a swirl of leaves appeared in the arena and cleared to show Kakashi and Sasuke standing back to back like some comic pose. As the roar of the audience rippled through Konoha, certain things were set in motion. The chaos to follow was now on a hair trigger and Naruto had run out of time to defuse this particular bomb. He was homing in on the chakra signature of Rasa, but since he had never met the guy, so he didn't know what he was supposed to feel. Once again, the feelings came back as familiar, but different at the same time. If Naruto knew about Orochimaru's body transfer capabilities, he may have been able to make the connection. That being said, he didn't know an Orochimaru had transferred vessels to make sure that he was at full strength for the fight against the Hokage. Thus, Naruto gave up on sensing the Kazekage and felt around the arena. As soon as the match between Gaara and Sasuke started, he was able to sense a shift. It was like the anticipation grew, and with it a sense of bloodlust was saturating the arena. It made Naruto shift nervously, and he began to prepare himself. He calmed his thoughts and got ready for the chaos that was sure to ensue once the dam broke. According to Temari, it was going to be a wide-scale genjutsu of some sort, but not even she had been told when it would happen. "You ready in there, Q?" Naruto thought. "Of course, Ruto. I can sense a disturbance with Shukaku. He is completely different than he has been for the last month." Kurama replied. "I know, I will handle it myself once the fighting breaks out." Naruto thought back. "You are the negative emotion sensor, how many enemies would you say are present in the arena?" "A couple hundred at least." Kurama replied instantly. "Including the Sand Sensei. He is targeting you." Naruto nodded and projected a smirk internally. "I am counting on it." With the Jonin Senseis, Kakashi had joined the group that was watching the start of the match impassively, and they each turned and leveled incredulous looks at him. Kakashi waved in his usual manner. "Yo, what did I miss?" Kurenai stomped her foot and shouted at him. "What did you miss? What did you miss? Are you fucking kidding me?" Kakashi cocked his head to the side. "I have been gone since the prelims." "So no, I am not kidding you." Asuma chuckled and shook his head. "You are unbelievable. For starters, Naruto got into an official grudge with the Hyuga, won it, killed 8 of their elders, spared Neji's life, got the Fire Daimyo's approval to remove the caged bird seal, and he announced himself as Uzumaki Namikaze. Kakashi's favorite book, Icha Icha, Paradise, fell to the ground in a dull thump. He remained frozen in place until Guy clapped him on the shoulder. "It was a most youthful display by your student, my eternal rival." Kakashi began stuttering and looking from face to face. Why you're kidding, right?" He rapidly transitioned between the faces of his friends in denial and stunned disbelief. Asuma chirped, "Nope." Before he leaned in and added, "There is an impending invasion as well. Get your shit together because it could pop off at any moment." As is speaking prophetically, the whole stadium froze in anticipation as Sasuke's hand glowed blue with lightning chakra and the chirping of 1,000 birds could be heard. Sasuke blurred forward to a ball of sand that was in the center of the arena and launched his Chidori forward. It penetrated the sand easily, and then the arena heard a terrifyingly shrill voice. "It's blood. My blood." All hell broke loose at that moment, and many things happened simultaneously. First, the cage's box was engulfed in a purple smoke, and within moments a barrier had been erected on the roof of the stadium and a purple barrier sprung into existence. Second, feathers began falling from the sky and putting people to sleep. However, they all disappeared in a magnificent burst of red chakra that originated from the contestant's box. Third, Temari watched Naruto get impaled through the chest by her sensei's wind-covered tanto. Fourth, Gaara emerged from the sand cocoon in a partially transformed state and began attacking Sasuke. Fifth, the entire arena became a battlefield as hundreds of invaders made themselves known and began killing indiscriminately as the Konoha shinobi scrambled to react. In the contestant's box, Naruto disappeared in a puff of smoke and Baki's eyes widened. The clone Naruto had prepared to Kawarimi with him had paid off. The next thing Baki knew, he felt a pressure on the back of his neck, and he was unable to move his body. He froze in place and was forced to accept his own helplessness. Naruto glared Kankuro down, and Temari looked to be on the verge of tears despite the serious situation. He looked right at them and spoke. "I can feel it now. That man with the Hokage isn't your dad. That is Orochimaru, which likely means that your dad is dead, and you were fooled." The rookies, particularly Shino, Ino and Shikamaru, had formed up in defensive positions behind Naruto. He issued orders. "Stand down." They were given diplomatic immunity by the Hokage since they gave us information about the invasion. His commanding tone affected all present in the booth. Are you sure?" Temari asked. Naruto shrugged. "You can go to the barrier and confirm yourself. Now that he is not shielding his chakra signature, I am 100% certain that the man imitating the Kazekage is Orochimaru. Then you need to let me go." Baki implored. "I need to stop our forces." Naruto turned to the rookies behind him. "Go and report to your sensei. Get your orders and assist in the invasion. They each have their assignments. Go." The last order snapped them out of it, and the three disappeared to go join their fellow rookies. "Naruto." Temari whimpered. Naruto's serious face cracked for a moment, and he smiled at Temari. "It is okay. Baki, if you want me to free you, tell me what they did to Gaara. Baki nodded. Yesterday, the Kazekage heard about how he had been acting differently. When he saw the new seal, he placed some seal on the back of his neck. That is all I know. Naruto frowned but nodded. He was telling the truth. Very well, go and stop as much of your force as you can. Get them out of here. Even if you turn sides, Konoha shinobi will attack. What about Gaara? Kankuro shouted. Leave him to me. Naruto replied while glancing down to the arena and smiling. A hole had been punched through the arena wall and Gaara was running out of it. It appears like he is fighting the influence of the seal. I am coming with you, Temari insisted. Fine, you will be safer at my side. Naruto formed a rat hand seal and freed Baki from his paralysis. You saw what I did to the Hyuga, Baki. Do not make me turn my wrath on the whole of Sungakor. Naruto's voice was a growl and Naruto could tell that his threat had the desired effect. Why, you have my word, Baki said. Kankuro, with me. At that moment, 4 Sand Jonin and 4 Sound Jonin appeared in the contestants' box and surrounded Naruto. Before they could attack, Baki, Kankuro and Temari each killed one of the Sound Jonin, which caught the newcomers off guard. We have been betrayed by the Sound. Orochimaru has killed and imitated the Kazekage. As soon as he finished speaking, the last Sound Jonin fell to the ground missing his head as Naruto sheathed his katana and clipped the sheath to his utility belt. Naruto looked impassively at the 4 new Jonin. If you wish to live, listen to Baki and get as many of your shinobi out of my village as possible. Temari, with me. Naruto then jumped down into the arena to follow the path of destruction Gaara left in his wake as he fled the village. Temari was hot on his heels. Well? What are you idiots waiting for? Baki yelled and took command of the group. Naruto and Temari were tracking Gaara out of the front gate and they had each killed 2 sound shinobi apiece. They took a quick halt for Temari to convince 4 Suna shinobi to fall back and retreat. They were startled, but she wasn't the Kazekage's daughter for now reason. She was well respected and trusted among the Suna shinobi. After that, they continued moving towards the front gates where 5 massive snakes were wreaking havoc on the walls. Naruto smiled as he saw Gamagoro and Gamiden fall in Jiraiya's favorite summoning jutsu, the food card destroyer no jutsu. The 2 gargantuan toads fell from the sky and landed on 2 of the 5 snake summons. Temari watched Naruto jump into the air and weave through hand signs. Her jaw dropped when she saw Naruto match Jiraiya's summoning and Gamahiro and Gamaken entered the fray in a similar manner their fellow clan members did. There was a massive battle cry as 4 of the snake summons were killed or dispelled in less than a minute after they had initially destroyed portions of the western wall. Temari didn't want to be left out, so she jumped atop the gate and used her wind jutsu to project her voice across the battlefield. I am Subaku no Temari, daughter of the Kazekage. I order all Suna shinobi to retreat. We have been betrayed by the snake Sanin Orochimaru. My father is dead, killed by the snake. I say again, retreat. This had a crippling effect on the battlefield as nearly 1,000 Suna shinobi froze in place. There were 2,000 sound shinobi fighting alongside them and that were engaged with Konoha shinobi assigned to defend the wall. As Naruto and Temari were leaving to pursue Gaara, they saw the battlefield erupt into chaos as most of the Suna shinobi beat feet back towards Suna. Temari knew they would head to the rendezvous point, so she pressed forward with Naruto to save her brother. Naruto left Gamahiro and Gamaken with Jiraiya to help clean up the sound shinobi. It took another 10 minutes for Naruto and Temari to track Gaara down. The feeling of Shukaku's chakra was now overwhelming and the 2 appeared just as Sasuke was thrown back and Sakura was being crushed against a tree. Naruto seriously contemplated letting her get crushed, but his better nature won out and he moved to intervene. Temari went down to try and talk Gaara down, but it was pretty clear that the seal was having a disastrous effect on his psyche. Naruto used his top speed to reach Sakura and he slashed away enough of the sand with a water chakra-coated katana that he was able to free her. She was unconscious and likely wouldn't know what happened, but she was alive. He immediately created a clone and turned around in time to see Temari get hit hard and sent flying by Gaara's arm that was covered in sand. She crashed back into a tree and Naruto saw Gaara pointing his hand at her before 5 sand shuriken flew towards her. Naruto appeared in front of Temari in a crackle of lightning and he used his katana to cut 3 of the 5 shuriken down. The took 2 to the chest and was sent toppling over Temari. He clicked his teeth and pulled on some of Kurama's chakra to form the one-tailed shroud around him. This was more than enough to heal the injuries from the shuriken, and it empowered him enough to block the next volley by countering it with a water-style, water trumpet. The water pulled from the air, combined with Kurama's chakra, was more than enough to decimate the shuriken and the stream of water collided against a wall of sand from Gaara's automatic defense. Naruto used the distraction to grab Temari and get her out of harm's way. After disengaging, he cut his finger and dribbled a couple drops of his blood into her mouth, and then he handed her off to a clone. The clone went to join the others and they watched on from a distance as Naruto engaged against the Ichibi Jinchuriki. Naruto appeared in front of Gaara and attempted to talk to him while Kurama tried to force contact with Shukaku. Alas, it was of no use and Naruto knew he would need to deal with the seal on Gaara's neck. That is how Naruto fought a losing battle for the next 5 minutes. It was really hard for one to fight against a rampaging Jinchuriki while one hamstrung themselves by limiting one's arsenal to non-lethal tactics. Finally, Naruto's tactic was starting to pay off though, and the drenched sands could no longer move fast enough to protect Gaara. After 5 minutes of eating damage and healing it off, Naruto turned the tides and landed his fist decisive blow. He appeared behind the partially transformed Jinchuriki in a crackle of lightning and he landed a lightning-style shock palm on the center of Gaara's back. The lightning coursed through the water and penetrated Gaara's defenses, which made him roar in pain. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to lay Gaara out, and it spurred the Jinchuriki to pull on more of Shukaku's chakra until a tail made of sand erupted from his tailbone. The two Jinchuriki were each squared off against each other in their one-tailed states. Fortunately, Naruto wasn't as prideful as the Hyuga. He worked with Kurama and erupted into his three-tailed cloak. Unfortunately for Naruto, this caused Kyuubi's chakra to be felt by the village and its inhabitants, and it terrified them to their core. Naruto blurred forward and kept using lightning palms to knock Gaara out. That was the only way Naruto could think of to have enough time to remove the seal. In his three-tailed state, Gaara didn't stand a chance and the beatdown surpassed anything Rock Lee could have done by unleashing the inner gates. Unfortunately, Naruto was still fighting to incapacitate, which was a tall order when confronting a Jinchuriki. Gaara roared out and unleashed blasts of wind that were carrying sand. That really didn't feel good for Naruto, but his regenerative ability and his cloak protected him from the worst of it. He closed his eyes to protect them from the granules of sand and used his Eye of Kagura to track Gaara through the sandstorm. It wasn't hard, the guy was pretty much a beacon of insanity and out-of-control demonic chakra. Through the sandstorm, Gaara could barely hear water-style, explosive shockwave. Even through his insanity, Gaara's eyes widened as the water from the trees, plants and air gathered around Naruto before exploding out in a tidal wave of water. "Ruto, target the tail!" Kurama shouted as Naruto blurred forward in an attempt to capitalize on the surprise attack that he landed on Gaara. Naruto felt Gaara being carried away by the water before he impacted a tree. He could tell Gaara wasn't hurt, but he was definitely rattled. Then Gaara let loose a roar of pain as Naruto shredded the base of his tail by planting a Rasengan into it. The tail crumbled to dust, or granules of sand in this case, and the spiraling sphere sent Gaara flying along the water that now coated the forest floor. Temari and Sasuke had regained consciousness and they were watching the display with wide eyes. Temari knew Naruto was strong, but the only person that had ever stood up to Gaara when he was like this was her father. Sasuke didn't hear about Naruto being the Kyuubi Jinchuriki since he missed Naruto's fight. He was seething in anger and jealousy as he watched Naruto's display of power. The 15-year-old Uchiha was scowling with Sharingan active as he watched his teammate work. Gaara skidded to a halt and Temari panicked when she heard him growl out, feigning sleep jutsu. That was when the battle was taken to a whole other level as globules of sand rose out of the water-covered ground and rushed towards Gaara. Naruto was forced to curse under his breath and watch as Gaara transformed into the Ichibi. It took less than a minute for a giant tanuki to tower above the forest canopy and Naruto could barely make out the form of Gaara that looked like a miniature pimple on the giant tanuki's head. He was slumped forward and unconscious. "Ruto, that seal is affecting my brother as well. You need to wake him up and destroy that seal. Your body is doing fine for now, but we can't maintain three tails for much longer." Kurama came in clutch with some advice and a status update. "How much longer, Q?" Naruto thought back. 10 to 15 minutes at most. Kurama replied quickly. Naruto put his head down briefly and came up with a plan. He dashed forward as the last of the Ichibi was formed out of the sand. He formed a shadow clone before they went through hand signs and pulled on the water that was now much easier to access due to it coating nearly everything in the surrounding forest. When Naruto was 100 feet away from the giant tanuki, he called out with his clone, "Water lightning combination, electric water laser." The lightning chakra from the false darkness technique was channeled into the highly pressurized stream of water that Naruto was blowing out of his mouth. The stream, 2 feet in diameter and cackling loudly while oversaturated with lightning chakra, ripped straight through the tanuki as Naruto adjusted his aim and used the laser beam of water and lightning to cut the giant sand legs of the tanuki off. The torso of the tanuki crashed to the ground before the legs could reform, and it gave Naruto the opening he was looking for. After biting his thumb for the blood sacrifice, Naruto summoned Gamabunta in another rendition of the food cart destroyer no jutsu, and the boss of the Toad Summons landed on top of the sand body of the tanuki in a mighty explosion. Naruto didn't waste time briefing Bunta, he jumped off of his head and was propelled directly towards Gaara. Sand rose to meet him in air, but Kubakirabocho was unsealed, and Naruto used the giant cleaver coated in demonic chakra to dice through the sand undeterred from his main mission. Naruto landed right next to Gaara, slashed the sand tentacles and went through 3 hand signs before placing his palms directly onto the back of Gaara's head and over the seal glowing on his neck. Lightning style, electric paralysis, Naruto thought before intense waves of lightning chakra amplified by Kurama's own surged through Gaara. The boy woke up screaming as the demonic lightning chakra shocked every nerve in his system. It also served to overload the seal on his neck, and Gaara slumped forward unconscious. As soon as that happened, the sand-forming Shukaku's body began dispersing and Gaara's body fell from 50 feet up. Temari watched the display in awe and completely forgot about the Uchiha boy. There were also about 40 Anbu watching this take place, and they were stuck in their perches watching silently. She saw Naruto catch Gaara's body and she moved at her top speeds to go and protect her brother. Baki and Kankuro showed up accompanied by 20 Suna shinobi, and they were soon surrounded by the Anbu. Naruto was in the center of them all, holding Gaara's body and still glowing in the 3-tailed cloak. Anbu, stand down, Naruto roared with enough ki in his voice to cow the Anbu detail. Lion stepped forward. Uzumaki Naruto, you will hand over the Ichibi Jinchuriki. He will be a political prisoner. I will do no such thing, Lion-san. These 3 were given diplomatic immunity by the Hokage for sharing information of the invasion with me ahead of time. This was witnessed by Jiraiya of the Sanin and myself. Naruto answered while removing the ki from his voice. He didn't want to drop the 3-tailed cloak in case the Anbu made this difficult for him. Baki stepped forward. We were deceived by Orochimaru of the Sanin. I confirmed it myself. Orochimaru killed our Kazekage and was impersonating him. He was fighting your Hokage in the barrier over the arena. This caused some of the Anbu to shift uneasily. Temari spoke up. I ordered all of my forces to retreat as soon as I found out about the betrayal. Most of you should have seen the Suna forces pulling back. Taiku, what she says is true, Eagle said. I witnessed her give the order and most of Suna's forces retreated. Lion didn't look like he wanted to back down, and he was the commanding Anbu officer. This made Naruto speak up as he was still holding an unconscious Gaara. I, Uzumaki Namikaze Naruto, with my authority as clan heir of both clans, will take responsibility for this decision. You are to stand down and allow Suna forces a peaceful retreat. Any further matters can be settled by negotiations between our 2 councils. Lion looked from Naruto to Baki. As the ranking officer, do you promise to retreat to your lands and respond to summons for negotiation? I do, Baki said seriously. Let them go. Uzumaki, you are coming with us. Lion ordered, and the Anbu sheathed their blades and fell back towards Konoha. Thank you, Lion-san. Naruto looked down to Gaara and asked permission from Hikari to heal him. Normally, he wouldn't do this, however, taking her chakra and giving it to her brother justified the question. She agreed, and Naruto positioned his glowing forearm in Gaara's mouth. He trapped Gaara's jaw and made him bite his forearm. All those present could sense the transfer of chakra, and the wounds on Gaara began disappearing. Naruto's cloak also faded, and he fell to a knee in exhaustion. Gaara looked around in confusion, but Temari helped Naruto up and hugged him. She whispered softly into his ear, "Thank you, Naruto. I will never forget this." The Anbu formation watched the Suna shinobi retreat, and Lion turned to Naruto. The young man was standing shakily on his feet, which was an achievement in and of itself. He respected the young man well enough, but this was a serious issue. He decided that Naruto wouldn't be able to move out on his own, and he took the young man on his own back. It was an awkward load, but Naruto was grateful for the assistance. Within the seal, Kurama watched with care and affection as her love and destined mate struggled to remain standing. Her hackles raised when the Anbu stepped in, but she calmed down as the Anbu's negative emotions settled into a resigned resolve. She maintained her awareness as she worked with Naruto's healing factor to restore his body. He was clearly exhausted, but it would be much too dangerous for him to fall unconscious at such a turbulent time. Naruto listened to Kurama's soothing voice as he was carried back into the village. He used the time to rest his body as he looked around wearily at the damage. Hundreds, if not thousands, of dead were splayed out in a bloody mess in front of the wall and along the interior of Konoha. The damage around the village was substantial, but it could have been far worse. As Lion was traveling, He was stopped by Jiraiya, who alleviated him of his burden. He did so rather forcibly, but Lion relented to the Sanin, who was the strongest remaining shinobi in the village. Jiraiya took the young man to the cabin in the forest. He didn't want him around the villagers right now, and he knew for a fact that his godson needed rest. This was the most exhausted he had ever seen the young man, and he knew that he would be safe in Anko's cabin. He informed the three of the key events that happened, and they took the news rather well. Jiraiya expected it from Naruto, but he thought that Hinata or Karen would have reacted more dramatically. The death of the Sandaime was the main news that Jiraiya had to share. The stubborn old monkey sacrificed himself to seal away the Lord's first, second, and the arms of Orochimaru. The old man was unable to complete the sealing due to a sword through the chest and a lack of will. Instead, he took what Orochimaru held most dear. He took his arms and his ability to use ninjutsu. Unfortunately, the snake Sanin was able to escape with his bodyguards, and Naruto knew that wouldn't be the last he sees of Orochimaru. Jiraiya told Naruto to get some rest and that he will stop by tomorrow with an update. He was bathed by Karen, who went out of her to care for Naruto affectionately. He was the only family she had left, and that bond between the two Uzumakis was growing stronger daily. Karen was physically attracted to him at first, but it was the time with Naruto and the warmth of his chakra that drew her to him. She cherished the warmth of the chakra that was buried below the stubborn exterior and hardened aspect he showed those he didn't count as precious. After bathing him, which was greatly appreciated by Naruto, the two ate a dinner prepared by Hinata. Naruto ravenously consumed the food, and he went to bed shortly thereafter. Anko only had one bed in her small little cabin, and Naruto was joined later on by Karen and a blushing Hinata. It was a peaceful night's sleep, at least until he was awoken by the scratching of a pencil and perverted giggling. Jiraiya's summary. Looking back on that day, I had accepted my sensei's fate and made peace with it before the invasion even started. It was out of respect for the man that raised me as a surrogate father that I allowed him his final wish. It was only Naruto and I that knew this fact, and my Gaki agreed to keep it hush, hush. That being said, it was a hit for Konoha, and it started a series of events that snowballed out of control. As for my godson, I couldn't be prouder. At slightly younger than 15, my Gaki was able to stand among the strongest of the village. It may be because I was counted as one of his precious people, but I could never understand why people feared him the way he did. He wielded his power effectively and efficiently, and he did so in the name of Konoha. So, I apologize in advance for what happens to play out. Take heart in knowing that it is all part of an amazing story of gallantry, love and heroism. Fallout and recovery. Wake up, Gaki, we have to go to the council in an hour, Jiraiya said in between giggles. Naruto rose his head to see Jiraiya tapping the pencil to his lips before he started writing animatedly. What for? Jiraiya looked up at him with a stern look. Oh, I don't know, Mr. Gaki that spoke directly to the Fire Lord during a public grudge match. Mr. Gaki that kicked the crap out of a main clan and forced them so cede the contract. Mr. Gaki who tore through the village and subdued the Ichibi frickin' Jinchuriki. You are that Mr. Gaki, aren't you? Jiraiya was having too much fun with this. Oh, Kennet Uro-senin. Karen shrieked before throwing a pillow at him. Jiraiya caught the pillow and took a deep whiff of the sweet scent. Nice perfume, Karen-chan. Gah! How did Auntie tolerate your perverted ass? Karen exclaimed until she was pulled back in to cuddle with Naruto. 10-minute snooze button and I will get up, Kyofu, Naruto said as Karen blushed cherry red and Hinata pouted while scooting closer to his back. I'll just be right here then, Gaki, Jiraiya said as he watched the scene and kept writing down more details and ideas from the scene. This earned him a water bullet to the face from the half-awake Kyubi Jinchuriki. Naruto reported to the Konoha Council with Jiraiya. They both decided that leaving Hinata behind was the safer of the two options. On his way to the council, Naruto created another clone to go and watch over Anko. His previous clone had popped during the invasion, and the last thing he remembered was the clone cuddling into Anko's comatose form. Naruto wouldn't be able to focus on the council until he knew that Anko was safe. Thus, when his clone dispelled one of its own creations and passed the memory on, Naruto smiled a truly peaceful and contented smile as he entered the council chambers. Naruto looked around with the smile fixed on his face, and he immediately noticed the fire daimyo and his advisor sitting in the Hokage's chair. He scowled when he saw the three elders standing behind him. Danzo, the filthy worm of a man, was back in public now that Hiruzen was dead. It wiped the smile off Naruto's face, and it caused Jiraiya to stiffen beside him as well. The rest of the council was present, along with the extended council that included the minor clans and civil heads of important families. This didn't bode well, and Naruto knew it. With the extended council, the backing from the major clans would not be worth as much. Naruto dropped to one knee and bowed to the daimyo of Hai no Kuni, Kenji-sama, Uzumaki Namikaze. Naruto reporting as ordered. The daimyo was given her first taste of Mabuki Haruno when she stood and shrieked, "How dare you address daimyo-sama by his name, demon!" The daimyo made a small motion with his head and one of his shinobi guardians stood behind the Haruno Banshee and pushed her forcibly back down into her seat. She was at least smart enough to know that she should remain silent in the daimyo's presence, and the man nodded slightly before turning to Naruto. He spoke in a soft voice that carried a weight of authority that demanded attention. "Naruto, thank you for responding to my summons. I find you intriguing, child. Where to start? The daimyo said while tapping his chin with his folded fan. "If I may, daimyo-sama," Shikaku asked while bowing respectfully, and the daimyo allowed it. "Naruto, how did you discover information of the invasion?" "Through happenstance, luck and a little bit of love, Nara-san." He opened semi-formally and got a chuckle out of Kenji for his efforts. "I ran into the Suna siblings the night before the Chunin exam started. We bonded over dinner and the Kyuubi asked me to help Shukaku. After the Suna siblings helped me after my encounter with Orochimaru. In return, I reinforced Gaara's seal, and they were grateful for that. They informed me of the invasion, and I notified the Hokage and my godfather. You see, the demon made the Suna child go mad and attack the village." A civilian shouted, which caused a disturbance that was dealt with shortly thereafter by the daimyo's men. "I do not know how Hiruzen conducted his council, but let me inform you." Kenji began in a soft voice. "When I am present, you will not speak without my blessing. You will not solicit your opinion unless I ask for it. You will not waste my time any further, and the next person to do so will be taken to the jail until I am satisfied. Am I clear?" He finished in a hardened tone for his rhetorical question to the council. "Hi, daimyo-sama." The room replied unanimously. "Very good. Now, Naruto, care to explain yourself?" Kenji asked pleasantly, as if the previous nonsense had never happened. "I reinforced Gaara's seal with a technique taught to me by Jiraiya. I did so in an attempt to better diplomatic relations with the children of the Kazekage, and because the Kyuubi, my partner in all things, asked me to. I was fully capable of completing the seal, and it was stable for the month before the finals. Subaku no Tamari informed me that Orochimaru, under the guise of her father, applied a seal to Gaara. During my fight with the Ichibi, I was able to break the insanity seal that was used by Orochimaru to force his hand during the invasion." Naruto answered formally. Kenji turned to the Shinobi Council. "Is there any seal master here that needs to question or comment?" Danzo tapped his cane and Kenji nodded to him. "Bijou seals are a matter of village security. You tampering with the seal without the prior approval of the Hokage and this council is an act of treason." This caused a stir of mutterings around the room. Kenji hummed at that. "I will allow it. Suna and the Wind Daimyo have already sent letters of apology and expressed the wish to negotiate. We will benefit from this, and it is likely due to young Uzumaki's interference that we have this opportunity." Danzo backed down at this. Inoiki was allowed to speak next. "If the siblings were going to participate in the invasion, why did they inform you of it?" Naruto cocked his head to the side as if he didn't understand the question. "Just because they were forced to follow their presumed father's orders does not mean that they wanted to. Gaara's initial plan once he was granted diplomatic immunity by the Sandaime was to fight alongside me in defense of Konoha." "And you trusted them?" Koharu asked. "I did. My ability with Eye of Kagura allows me to detect lies and determine if a person is being genuine." Naruto answered. Kenji leaned forward in his seat. "I was privy to your heritage, and I acknowledge you as the heir of Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Kushina. I was close to the two of them, and I would like to hear more about your bloodlines." Naruto bowed and explained his two bloodlines for the council. "Fascinating, absolutely fascinating. I shall call you if I am ever in need of such healing." "It would be my honor to aid you," Naruto said with a bow. The next to speak was Homura. "If you informed Hiruzen of everything, then why was the invasion successful? Why did Hiruzen die? Did you obscure any information from him?" Jiraiya growled and answered the question. "My godson told Sensei everything. I implored him to let me stay at his side, but he wanted to correct his past mistakes. He wanted to finish Orochimaru off on his own, and he ordered it so." Kenji frowned slightly at that. It was a foolish but honorable decision. "I see no need to blame either of these two for honoring his wish." Navina, a civilian, was allowed to speak next. "It was reported that you were seen interacting intimately with the Suna Kunoichi. How are we to believe that you are not compromised or an agent of Suna?" Kenji raised an eyebrow at this and smiled playfully at Naruto. "I have heard stories of your exploits. Is any part of your relationship with Subaku no Tamari relevant for this council's knowledge?" Naruto shrugged. "I love hard and fast, Kenji-sama. We grew close and spent a good portion of the month together. I did not compromise any secrets of Konoha except what I was capable of. I do hold affection for Subaku no Tamari, but we both know the reality of our situation. Unless it is allowed by treaty, I am content with counting her as a precious friend. Kenji chuckled behind his open fan at that. Very well, I find your candor refreshing. Any more relevant questions about the invasion? Daimyo-sama, it is clear to me that this demon child is responsible for the damage to the village. He could have prevented it, and his failure to do so resulted in grievous damage and loss of life to Konoha. Kenji cocked his head to the side and looked at the man as if he were an idiot. Have you not listened to anything said? Uzumaki Naruto is a Jinchuriki, not a demon. I know this village is ignorant, but two of your greatest heroes were also Jinchuriki. Uzumaki Mito and Uzumaki Kushina were both prior Jinchurikis of the Kyuubi. Inform yourself before you speak or keep your mouth shut in my presence. Naruto wanted to laugh, but he remained professional and grateful for Kenji's presence. Danzo was scowling at this. This was not how this was supposed to go. Konoha was supposed to be in ruins, and his rebuilt route would have helped him take control. He couldn't get a private meeting with the daimyo, and he could never use Koto Amatsukami on him in front of so many. He had enough people under his control, but it was clear the daimyo wouldn't allow him to attain Naruto. Daimyo-sama, that covers the invasion. We still need to address the grudge and Naruto's actions during the finals, as well as nominate a new Hokage, Danzo said with a begrudging bow. The daimyo waved his hand for Danzo to continue speaking. Uzumaki Naruto weakened Konoha greatly and endangered Konoha shinobi by publicly revealing weaknesses of the Hyuga clan, the most prominent clan remaining in Konoha. He needs to be reprimanded for such actions and penalized for his actions against Konoha. Kenji hid his smile at the obvious play, and he looked to Naruto. Anything to say for yourself, young man? Naruto shrugged. The grudge match was approved, and anything done during that match was done in the presence of your majesty. I repeatedly sought your approval and believed that the public shaming of the Hyuga fell under the purview of the grudge. It is as the young man says, Danzo, Kenji said. Hyashi got permission to speak. The grudge needs to be ratified as settled, Daimyo-sama. The remains of the Hyuga Council does not wish for continued loss of wealth, personnel and reputation. I ask for your intervention in the absence of the Sandaime. Kenji waved. I have already signed the document. You and your clan are to do everything in your power to ensure a quick and clean resolution. As you wish, Daimyo-sama, Hyashi said with a bow of his head. Koharu didn't wish to let the matter drop. Daimyo-sama, the boy clearly exceeded her purview under the grudge. He released his heritage without the express permission of the council or the Hokage. He also violated the Sandaime's law about his Jinchuriki status. This endangered village security by drawing the attention of our enemies. Kenji raised an eyebrow and turned to Naruto. Naruto addressed the claim, I am the subject of both so-called secrets. My heritage was kept secret by the Sandaime to protect me from Kumo and Iwa. I deemed myself strong enough to handle any threats that may appear. As for my Jinchuriki status, that is a joke. The whole adult population of Konoha already knew, and they did little to obscure the fact that I was the vessel of the Kyuubi no Kitsune. I simply did not wish to obscure that any further, and I used the revelation to help save a lost soul. Kenji tapped his fan to his lips. I find your reasoning acceptable. Let us move on, I grow weary of this. Homura spoke. We need to elect a new Hokage to guide us through the recovery. I nominate Shimura Danzo. The old geezer spoke and get a rise out of the council. Shikaku Nara rose. If Jiraiya-sama declines the position, then I nominate Hatake Kakashi. The Nara wanted to avoid Danzo gaining power at all costs. Kenji turned to Jiraiya. Do you not wish to take the Hokage position? I do not, Daimyo-sama, Jiraiya said firmly. However, I nominate Senju Tsunade as the God-I'm Hokage. This got a loud stir and everyone saw Kenji nodding. Kenji thought on it for a moment and addressed Jiraiya. Tsunade is not in the village and has not been for a long time. What makes you think that she would agree to accept the position? Jiraiya smirked in his gallant way. I will take the Gaki here and go find her. He is very persuasive, and he has an added reason to bring Tsunade back. Kenji raised an eyebrow. And what is that? Naruto bowed. My lover, Mitarashi Anko, was branded with the cursed seal from Orochimaru for the second time. I need Tsunade's medical expertise to help her. For the second time? Inoiki challenged. She was branded almost 10 years ago. I removed her cursed seal a year before I graduated from the academy. The new cursed seal has a stronger anchor, and I cannot remove it in the same way I did the last one. Naruto informed the council. My oh my, you are interesting, Uzumaki-kun. His eyes then flickered to Jiraiya and glimmered. The daimyo's dirty little secret was that he was Jiraiya's biggest fan, even greater than Kakashi. So, I take it that you intend to use all of these lovely women to rebuild your clans? Naruto shrugged, I love who I love. I denied the CRA because the council insisted on choosing who I could and could not love. Danzo coughed, we are getting off topic, my lord. Kenji waved his fan in front of him. It is quite alright. I choose Tsunade Senju as the god I will return to Konoha for her inauguration. Jiraiya-kun, I presume you can notify me when she returns? Jiraiya nodded and smiled, indeed I will, Kenji-sama. Very well, that concludes my business for today. I will return to the capital after Hiruzen's funeral. I will leave an advisor here to assist in the recovery. It is a pleasant thing to note that the damage is in good shape despite 3,000 shinobi attacking. Reunions following the council meeting, Naruto and Jiraiya returned to the cabin to check in on the girls. Naruto expressed his concern about leaving Hinata behind and about Anko. He knew that there were many people in the village that would take advantage of his affections of them, especially with Danzo showing himself into the light of day once more. Jiraiya insisted on traveling fast and light and Naruto asked a favor of an old friend. Mikoto Uchiha agreed to house and protect Karen, Hinata, and she even organized for Anko to be brought into the Uchiha compound. She was also deeply disturbed by Danzo's reemergence. And she knew that Naruto was the best ally she had. She allowed Naruto to place some extra protective seals over the home the three would be staying in to protect them, and he had Naruto apply similar protections to her own house. Hinata agreed to stay within the boundaries of the Uchiha compound and Karen agreed to look after Anko. After organizing that, Naruto entered his parents' compound the first time since the night of the Kyuubi attack. It was a trip down memory lane for Jiraiya and an emotional event for Naruto. Jiraiya showed Naruto into Minato's study and showed him where his father and mother kept the Master Scroll. He didn't want Naruto to bring the Master Scrolls with him for this journey, so Naruto settled on getting a couple water and lightning jutsu as well as the next levels of Fuin Jutsu from his mother's scroll. These books were handed down to her by Mito Uzumaki and his parents added on to them. It was a treasure trove of Fuin Jutsu, and Naruto couldn't wait to dig in. Before they left the compound, Jiraiya took Naruto to the Master Seal and had him assume primary ownership over the seal. Naruto was grateful for Jiraiya's assistance because it was a complicated process and Naruto had only ever read about it in his books. With Naruto as the recognized master of the primary seal array, Jiraiya showed him how to lock the compound down. Neither of them had any delusions about the lengths Danzo would go to get his hands on the wealth and knowledge of the Uzumaki and Namikaze clans. With everything settled, Naruto spent one more night with his girls. He cuddled into Anko to let her feel his warmth before he left. He bid farewell to three people that held special places in his heart before he met Jiraiya at the front gate. Jiraiya was in his usual getup and he had his Master Scroll resting parallel to the ground on the back of his waist. You ready, Gaki? Jiraiya asked with a massive smile on his face. Sure thing, Kyofu. Let's go get Butchin. Naruto answered in a cheeky fashion. Ha ha ha. Oh, Kami. Gaki. I dare you to call her that to her face. Jiraiya laughed over that joke for the first half hour of the trip. An hour later, on a hill overlooking Konoha, two figures in black cloaks with red clouds were looking down on the village. They were both wearing straw hats that obscured their faces and they were sent to Konoha for a very particular mission. Does it feel good to be home again, Itachi? A massive man with blue skin, gills, a shark-like appearance and a massive sword/club wrapped in bandages, asked his partner. Chen, it has been almost 3 years, Kisame. Itachi replied with her fixed mask of indifference. Let's go and get this over with. Ha ha, okay Itachi. You know? The place doesn't look too bad for just going through an invasion. Kisame replied. As the two entered Konoha in search of the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, Naruto and Jiraiya walked the other way. They ended up getting confronted by Asuma Sarutobi, Kurenai Yuhi, Kakashi Hatake, and Might Guy. It was that last member combined with the strain on Itachi's eyes that forced the two to retreat after Kakashi coughed up what he knew about Naruto's whereabouts while being tortured in the Tsukuyomi. This led to Kakashi's hospitalization, which led to Sasuke hearing about Itachi searching for Naruto. The young Uchiha ran out of the village on his own on his quest for revenge. Fairly soon he would sincerely regret that decision. Outside of Tanuki town the two members of the Akatsuki watched their charges enter the small village. Itachi devised a plan to place an attractive woman under a genjutsu to distract Jiraiya. The Toad Sanin would fall for it hook, line and sinker. Fortunately for the young lady, she appreciated Jiraiya's performance and asked for seconds when the genjutsu broke. Jiraiya didn't question his good fortune, He simply reveled in the pleasures of the flesh and did his best to make his temporary partner do the same as well. Naruto's heart was racing as he entered the hotel. He could have told Jiraiya about the genjutsu, but he had felt her chakra signature for the first time in 3 years. His heart called out to him and halted him from doing what he should have done. He laid on his bed in his hotel room and tracked the 2 chakra signatures that he had felt. He knew that Itachi was in the Akatsuki and that he was probably putting himself at risk, but he would see her again no matter the cost. It took less than 5 minutes for the 2 to arrive outside his door and Naruto's heart was beating out of his chest. He heard them talking to each other briefly before he heard a heavy object set up against the wall. Then, a soft knock on the door garnered his attention. His heart beat out of his chest and his ears pounded due to the adrenaline as he straightened out his clothes. He was about to see her again for the first time in years. Did she still love him? Would she attack him? Could he fight her if she did? So many thoughts whirred through Naruto's mind as his hand touched the doorknob. With a firm nudge of conviction, Naruto spun the doorknob and opened the door to see one of the most beautiful faces he had ever seen. She had aged beautifully, and her slender, heart-shaped face was traced by smooth, raven black bangs. Her hair was held into a loose ponytail, and it reflected the sunlight of its obsidian sheen. The Akatsuki cloak could do nothing to hide the genuinely beautiful aura she emanated, and Naruto's heart stopped when they locked eyes. His azure blues wavered when he looked into her spinning Sharingan, but he didn't fear her. Those eyes could never scare him. He remained frozen on the spot, soaking in the beautiful visage of his first and purest love. Itachi was more than nervous about this. She had lived as a missing nin for 3 years and hardened her heart to protect herself amongst the ranks of the Akatsuki. She had been watched closely by the organization and her partner Kisame. She hadn't been able to send a single message, but she had clones check on Naruto from time to time. As she walked down the hallway with Kisame, she pulled him aside to talk to him under the guise of forming a plan. Itachi used her new genjutsu, one that even affected the sentient sword Seimata, to put Kisame into a trance. He would see events play out the way she wanted him to. He would see them confronting Naruto, the boy pulling a fast one on them. They would scrap for a little bit and Itachi would feed inaccurate knowledge of the boy's skills to the Akatsuki. They would be forced to retreat once Jiraiya showed up and that would be that. As Kisame slumped against the wall and put Seimata down a good distance away from him, Itachi took a deep breath and firmed her resolve. Naruto's bright smile and warm aura had kept her going for the past 3 years. She hoped that he wouldn't overreact. She hoped her being in the Akatsuki wouldn't make him hate her. She knew that he had lovers in the Leaf. His exploits were quite well known for something that should be personal. She couldn't be mad at him though. She played on his love for her and asked, nay begged, him to move on. As Itachi knocked on the door, memories of her life in the Tsukiyomi world raced to the surface of her mind and overwhelmed her thoughts. This was followed by unfamiliar feelings that came to the surface for the first time since that night. Her heart raced, her breath hitched and she felt like she wanted to cry because of the swirling thoughts and emotions. Would he still love her? Could she still love him? What would she do with that love? Was she doing the right thing or just hurting him all over again? The door opened and Itachi got her answer. Naruto was a beautifully handsome man. He was 6 feet tall, 185 pounds, with a toned face devoid of baby fat that was customary for men his age. His azure blue eyes danced with the same questions and the same emotions as Itachi's. The beautiful blue pools drew her in and enchanted her the minute her Sharingan locked onto the. Her whole body lit aflame as she let her eyes trace downward to take in the sculpted appearance of a man she had last seen as a boy. Naruto followed his instincts while he was in his trance and leaned forward slowly, never breaking eye contact. As he leaned down, he saw the slightest twitch of Itachi's lips into a smile before the puckered to prepare for the kiss. Lips locked in a joining of souls that had been denied each other for too long. The taste of each other on their lips became the only thing in the world that mattered. The tentative kiss turned into a passionate clash of lips and tongues, each one trying to outdo the other. They both wanted to convey in the kiss exactly how much they cherished the other. Making out in a hotel hallway is romantic and all, but eventually Naruto came to his senses as both forbidden lovers parted for air. As Naruto looked into her enchanting eyes, he bent down to place one more featherlight kiss on her lips before speaking. I love you. Those were the 3 words he wanted to say the most again and they were the only 3 words to think up. He didn't know how else to express his love and devotion to this goddess of a woman that had left his life 3 years ago. Itachi smiled fondly at the words and her Sharingan faded to the charcoal that Naruto had grown to love. She noticed that her vision was better than it had been in years, and she finally didn't need her Sharingan to see clearly. She collected herself and chose her reply that she had been waiting to say since she left, I love you too, Ruto-kun. Chi-chan, Naruto said excitedly as he pulled her into a hug. It was then that he noticed the big, blue shark man for the first time. "Who's your friend?" Itachi sighed. "He is my partner, Kisame Hoshigake, wielder of Seimata. I have them both in a genjutsu." Itachi answered reluctantly because she wanted his undivided attention. "Both?" Naruto questioned with the cute turn of his head that Itachi had missed so much. "Ruto." Itachi pouted sexily, "You take me to bed right now or lose me forever." She had lived a lifetime already with him in the Tsukiyomi, but in the real world she was still a virgin. Despite the attempts of every male member in the Akatsuki, including Zetsu, Iu. Yup, that did it. Naruto no longer cared about a member of the Seven Swordsmen sitting in the hallway and looking at the wall. All he cared about was showing his first love exactly how much she meant to him. Naruto made Itachi squeal girlishly when he picked her up into a bridal carry and used his foot to slam the door shut. He walked over to the queen-size bed and lay her down gently. Her black hair splayed out below her in a breathtaking and heart-stopping example of feminine beauty as Itachi slowly undid the buttons to her Akatsuki cloak. With each button, more and more perfectly smooth alabaster skin greeted Naruto's eyes and she eventually revealed her cleavage. The perfectly perky cleavage of mid-C cup breasts greeted his eyes, and he lost his patience. He crashed onto her and pressed his lips into hers while his hands took over her previously assigned task. With one good pull, Naruto exposed Itachi in a black, beater-style undershirt that hugged her thin figure and accented her breasts. He idly noted that Itachi's breasts were so perky that she had no need to wear an bra. Her boobs were perfect and there were no ifs, ands or buts about it. Naruto's hands traced down her sides and began lifting the little black shirt over her head. Before Itachi allowed that, she pulled up on the bottom of Naruto's own and gave him a pouty face. Naruto leaned up off the bed and removed his shirt in one fluid motion before tossing it away with reckless abandon. He then demanded Itachi did the same and she performed a sexy shimmy that made her ladies jiggle as she pulled the black shirt off and exposed two dime-size rose-pink nipples. Naruto's hands immediately began tending to them as he re-engaged the passionate dance of tongues. Every lick, every nibble, every soft exchange between the tongues enriched the experience and drove them further and further into one another. As Naruto's hands applied the advanced ministrations earned through experience and hard work, Itachi's breath hitched, her lips puffed out into her O-face and her whole body shuddered in ecstasy. It was the first time in years Itachi felt that way and it only served to draw her deeper into Naruto. It was the first sensation that made Itachi believe this Naruto, her Naruto, was even better than she imagined in her Tsukiyomi world. With the floodgates opened, Itachi began fumbling with the clasp of Naruto's utility belt. The usual dexterity she possessed was temporarily nerfed by the intensity of the orgasm she was recovering from. Eventually, the belt freed itself and Itachi easily conquered the button and zipper. With mouths still engaged and tongues intertwined, Itachi pulled Naruto's pants down to his thighs. Naruto did the rest of the work as he did a crazy shimmy into a kick that sent his pants flying into the far wall before they fell to the ground with a thud. Naruto's member pitched a massive red tent in the blood-red boxers with the Uzumaki clan symbol on each cheek. Itachi cared not for the partition, she snaked her hand into his boxers and began coaxing the release of the beast. Yup, that was bigger than in the Tsukiyomi as well. Naruto moaned momentarily before shifting his hips back out of reach of Itachi. She gave him the sexiest pout, which made him laugh before his head dove down low. Naruto made short work of the Anbu pants and black lace thong that Itachi was wearing. Her lips were a gradient of a light rose pink on the labia that darkened into a beautiful and rich rose color of the vagina. He licked his lips and was ready to dig in, but Itachi stopped his head with her hands and got his attention. She made a rotating motion with one of her hands and Naruto answered the request with a smirk. He maneuvered around atop her with the grace of a shinobi before he plunged into her womanhood to pleasure her and taste the essence of Itachi. Itachi was startled as she looked up at the monster cock in front of her. The slit glared back at her in daring defiance, and it dribbled the slightest bit of precum that made Itachi moisten her lips. As pleasure ripped through her body, she lifted her head to do the same for the man that she undoubtedly loved with body and soul. The first tentative lick sent shivers up and down the shaft and it twitched in response to her moist tongue. She then encompassed the head of his cock in her mouth as her hands positioned themselves on his ass and pulled down. Naruto responded to the lightest touch and guidance Itachi gave, which caused him to throw his head back in ecstasy as half of his member entered her mouth and scraped against her throat. The soft, yet deliberate, swirls of her tongue and tender caress of her lips made him shiver in pleasure. The slightest grinding of her teeth into his shaft accompanied by the gurgling that indicated Naruto was a little too much for her to take and made Naruto groan in pleasure. It was all Naruto could ever ask for and it was all the more that it was Itachi that was doing it for him. In a demonstration of his gratitude, his mouth tore into her pussy with a vigor and love of lust that would make Aphrodite blush. The tongue swirled in her folds, flicked against her clit and lapped up her juices. Itachi's moans were muffled by Naruto's cock, but that only made it all the sexier. The two lovers had restrained themselves for too long and been denied each other's presence for too great a time. This reunion was like two polarized magnets finally clinking together in a powerful bang as they finally grew too close to ignore the laws of physics. The game of orgasmic chicken played itself out and Itachi lost. She was on her third by the time her mouth and throat coaxed Naruto's release. Her eyes widened as the liquid of life fizzled against her taste buds like an orgasmic milkshake. When the healing and restorative properties of Naruto entered Itachi, her whole body lit aflame, and she was healed on a subcellular level. The built-up damage from her Mangekyo Sharingan vanished, the disease that made it hard for her to breathe disappeared and Itachi felt invigorated in a way that she never had before. Itachi parted from Naruto's shaft with a sexy popping sound and cum drizzled down her chin and onto her breasts. Naruto gracefully spun around atop her, and he was back to kissing her again as the fingers of his left hand plunged into her and his right hand heaped pleasurable ministrations onto Itachi's right breast. The kiss was so fiery and passionate, and Itachi was so worked up that she lost herself once more as Naruto's middle finger applied the slightest bit of lightning chakra to her G-spot. She pushed Naruto away to break the kiss and her obsidian eyes danced with life and joy as she spoke these next words. "I want you and me, now." Naruto bent down and nibbled her lower lip as his left hand guided his shaft to Itachi's rosy entrance. Her rubbed the head up and down and locked eyes with her as he replied, "As you wish, my love." With those words, Naruto's sword began sheathing itself in Itachi's womanhood. It pushed straight through the remains of her barrier. Kunoichi often break their own hymens, and he slowly sheathed himself up to the hilt in this slender and beautiful goddess of a kunoichi. Itachi's head dug bad into the pillows, and she gasped out upon the slightly painful, yet amazing, feeling. She was finally one with her love. Her Tsukiyomi dreams had finally come true. Unlike Naruto, Itachi held on to the genjutsu life she had with Naruto with everything she had. As she went through the motions of her life in the Akatsuki, those memories had empowered her. Those memories had given her a sense of profound peace and they helped her resolve herself to do what was necessary to protect Naruto. Now, this Naruto, this young man, Itachi knew that he no longer needed her protecting. Now, Itachi only wanted her life partner back. The young woman panted and heaved as Naruto's pace increased to that of a sex god, which forced her clear thoughts to disperse as euphoria set in. His shaft filled every bit of Itachi's vagina to the brim, and it greeted her womb with every thrust. Every pull-out caused the mushroom head to apply friction to the G-spot and Itachi was rapidly spiraling out of control. Her orgasms became rolling orgasms, her breath hitched so many times that she was getting lightheaded, and she had released so much love juice that she was sure that she was getting dehydrated. Despite all of this, Naruto's frantic pace and desperate need to please kept the orgasms rolling. Itachi thought that it couldn't get much better than it already was until Naruto pulled her up onto him while his cock acted like some sexy fulcrum. She flew into his arms, and he began pumping into her while standing. Itachi gasped where the hands that were supporting her were coated in a warm and watery chakra that kneaded into her cheeks. When two of Naruto's fingers slid into her ass, the normally quiet kunoichi screamed out her release and let loose a geyser of cum that had built up for the past half hour. The super powerful clamping of Itachi's vagina coaxed Naruto to his second orgasm and Itachi's eyes rolled up as Naruto let loose a sexual torrent inside of her. He didn't stop pumping either. The sloshy combination of their cum mixed into a superheated lubricant and increased the sensations even more intensely. Naruto slowed the pumping down to a lower frequency and his lips captures hers. Her body was on autopilot as her tongue instinctually greeted Naruto's own. As Naruto slowed down while still inside her, the miraculous mixture of their fluids dribbled down his ball sack and onto the floor into a puddle of love. With the slower and more love-making pace, Itachi was able to regain her composure as Naruto's release once again invigorated her. Her muscles regained the ability to move, and the orgasmic feeling settled over her body while her mind cleared. It was enough for her. It was more than enough for her. It was better than she had ever dared to imagine. It was really real. The two continued for two more climaxes for Naruto and Itachi honestly lost count. She could no longer tell when one ended and another began. After the end of Naruto's third load, and after quite a bit of Naruto teasing her rosebud, Itachi took his shaft in her own hands and guided it to its newest destination. Naruto's eyes widened in anticipation, but he was no longer new to this and didn't hesitate. He wanted Itachi to have all of him and he most definitely wanted all of her. With a slow and growing pressure, Naruto's girth forced her anal sphincter opened and Naruto's head greeted the sweet and forbidden cavern of Itachi's ass. Sasuke had tracked Naruto and Jiraiya to Tanuki town, and he was searching for the two while keeping an eye out for Itachi. Locals pointed him to an inn and the receptionist was more than happy to confirm Naruto's reservation for him. His mind raced as he planned out what he would do. His mouth turned into a wicked grin at the thought of shoving a Chidori through his traitorous sister's heart. He walked slowly up the stairs and increased his pace when he heard the pounding of wood and groans echoing down the hallway on Naruto's floor. His pace grew to be frantic as he started sprinting down the hallway where one Akatsuki member in a black cloak with red clouds was already incapacitated. He jumped over the blue shark guy and skidded to a halt in front of the door, and it sounded like there was a scuffle going on inside. He activated his Sharingan and got ready to take his revenge. He was seriously going to regret activating his Sharingan as soon as he opened the door. Sasuke kicked the door open and took a combat-ready position as he surveyed the room. His Sharingan recorded everything in slow motion as he saw clothes strewn haphazardly about the room, and the moaning drew his attention to the head of the bed. There, on the bed, he saw his teammate, Naruto Uzumaki, sweaty and covered in Itachi's orgasmic fluids. As if that weren't bad enough, Naruto was frozen in place with his cock in Itachi's ass with a deer in the headlights look on his face. His Sharingan recorded the droplets of cum and sweat dripping off of his older sister. To make matters worse, he had a full side view of his naked sister. All of this was scarring for Sasuke, but the worst thing was seeing Itachi's onyx orbs that were so saturated with a contented lust and happiness. The glimmer in her eye would haunt him for years to come. Why was she allowed to be happy when he was so miserable? Why could she find love when all he could feel was hate? Why did his teammate bear more loyalty to his traitorous sister than to him, a loyal Uchiha? And for Kami's sake, why was Naruto fucking his sister in the ass right in front of him? Naruto, Sasuke roared as his two Tomo Sharingan each grew their third Tomo, and he channeled every bit of lightning chakra to his right forearm as he could. Oh, shit, Naruto whispered, not even bothering to pull himself out of Itachi. Oh Toto, Itachi said while her mind cleared the amazing, orgasmic feeling to deal with a really serious situation. Before Itachi could respond, she felt Naruto's chakra pulse before letting loose a moan as Naruto continued pumping into her ass despite the intruder. In Naruto's mind, they were already caught. Might as well make the most of it and get bonus points for scarring Sasuke for life. As Naruto simply ignored Sasuke, his clones responded to the charging Uchiha. They hit Sasuke from the sides with a high-low combination of chakra tackles. The clone on Sasuke's right was dispelled as it took out Sasuke's legs, and the Chidori destabilized and exploded on top of it. The clone that shoulder-checked Sasuke's upper body hit him so hard that he did 2 full side flips before he crashed headfirst into the wall of the bedroom. Itachi tried to protest, but Naruto was close, and she knew it. She would deny him nothing as this memorable first time for anal once again clouded her mind with pleasure. It was no more than 5 minutes after the interruption that Naruto let loose the remaining seed he had stored in his sack into Itachi's anal canal. The missing's rank kunoichi finally gave out and she crumpled to the bed as the pleasure overload made her pass out. Naruto was panting as he leaned over the unconscious form of Itachi. His clone that was watching over the battered form of Sasuke gave him a thumbs up before dispelling. That was when he heard scribbling and ultra-perverse giggling as Jiraiya was frozen in the doorway scribbling down the details of the event. It was so perfect that Jiraiya didn't dare to change a single detail, and he would be sure to get the full story later. Naruto once again remained frozen in Itachi's ass as he processed the implications of his godfather being at the door. Unfortunately, all good things must come to an end, and this was one such thing. A green blur came flying into the picture as Naruto heard the call of Konoha Senpu. Jiraiya went flying down the hallway and out of sight before the terrifying form of Might Guy entered the doorway. Guy? A little privacy please? Naruto said, now fed up with all of the interruptions. Guy's eyes nearly bulged out of his sockets at the sight of Naruto buried to the hilt in a woman's ass. His eyes widened further when his trained shinobi senses identified the woman. That being said, Guy turned around in the doorway in a blur. Unfortunately, this kicked Kisame face first into his Seimata sword. This broke the genjutsu and all hell began breaking loose. Naruto pulled out and woke up Itachi forcefully. It didn't take her long to take stock of the situation, and before the scuffle outside had even truly started, while both of them were scrambling around the room to gather their clothes and get dressed. Within 2 minutes, they were dressed back into their uniforms and the discussion that usually preceded high-level fights was ending. Unfortunately for Naruto, he was wearing Itachi's shirt and it hugged him quite tightly. Fortunately for Itachi, she would get to keep Naruto's shirt and she wouldn't take it off for the rest of her time in the Akatsuki. All that aside, after one quick kiss, Itachi woke her brother up and put him into the infinite Tsukiyomi. She did this to make sure that she could bury, if not fully erase, the memories of her and Naruto, much like she did to Naruto's Tsukiyomi memories years ago. She didn't want to get him in trouble. Thus, she made the decision to play on his hatred. She once again showed him the memories of the massacre that culminated with her killing her father. She didn't include anything that could exonerate her because she knew that her brother wasn't ready for the truth. After the 3 seconds passed that Itachi was using the infinite Tsukuyomi on Sasuke, Jiraiya entered the fray against Kisame. She stood up and took a couple seconds to give Naruto one quick and final kiss before she punched him through the wall and into the hallway. Naruto crashed into the far wall of the hallway and Kisame was surprised by his sudden entrance. He looked through the wall to see Itachi glaring at him with the Mangekyo Sharingan swirling. "Kisame, we are leaving," Itachi said, back in her monotonous mask. "Sure thing, Itachi. What did you do to your little brother?" "He looks half dead," Kisame said while using one of his eyes to peek into the room. "Just gave him some additional motivation," Itachi said. "Don't think I'm just going to let you get away," Jiraiya shouted and he slammed his hand into the ground. Gamma barrier, Toad Gourd prison. The walls of the hallway began turning fleshy and Jiraiya looked to be the only one that could move freely without the walls of the toad's stomach trying to capture him. Itachi and Kisame ran down to the end of the hallway and Itachi used the Amaterasu to blow a hole to freedom. Jiraiya was forced to seal the black flames of Amaterasu rather than give chase, so he undid his jutsu. This left place for an extremely awkward situation. Naruto scratched the back of his neck sheepishly. Guy-sensei, would you mind hearing me out before you blow up on me? I promise there is the most youthful reason ever for what you unyouthfully saw." Guy hesitated for a moment before nodding. "I would ask that you don't pervert the flames of my most youthful speech, but I will agree to hear you out." Jiraiya checked on Sasuke quickly and came back into the hallway to listen into Naruto's tale. It wasn't the first time, nor would it be the last time, that he heard the heart-wrenching story. It also brought Guy into the inner fold on the truth behind the Uchiha massacre. By the end of the story, Guy was wailing into Jiraiya's shoulder. The Toad Sanin didn't push him away because it sounded like the love story surpassed that of his own with Tsunade. Guy sniffled loudly and pulled out a handkerchief from Kamino where before blowing into it loudly. He dried his tears and looked directly at Naruto. It was the first time that Naruto ever saw Guy without his mask on and he would remember it forever. "Naruto, I now understand and will keep your secret. However, if you ever betray or raise your hand to Konoha, I will be forced to share such information. Your love sounds truly incredible, but I cannot let that come to harm the leaf." Jiraiya sighed. "Relax, Guy. Itachi is my informant within the Akatsuki. I didn't know this would happen, but it really isn't as bad as it seems." "You mean she is still loyal to Konoha?" Guy asked. "Itachi values family and village above all, Guy-sensei. When she was forced to commit the massacre by Danzo, she chose to go missing nin rather than leave the village in a compromised state that could break out into a full civil war." Naruto confirmed it for Guy and that sealed the deal. Guy nodded enthusiastically and resolutely. "Very well, I will remain silent. Lord Jiraiya, what should I report to Konoha?" "Say that the Akatsuki ambushed us in the hotel. Naruto deceived Itachi and Kisame long enough for me to intervene. Then, you came and helped me force them back. By the time you got here, Sasuke was already defeated by Itachi, and she used her MS on him. We are going to bring back Tsunade anyway, so she can heal the brat." Guy nodded and scooped Sasuke onto his shoulder. "I will do as you say, Jiraiya-sama. Naruto, thank you for trusting me with your story. I am sorry that such things happen to one as youthful as you." Naruto gave Guy one of his genuine smiles. "Thanks, Guy. I appreciate you. When I return, I will show you and Lee some of my training. I think you would both like it." With a flash of teeth and a big thumbs up, Might Guy disappeared in a green blur. Jiraiya made Naruto clean up quick. He had already put the innkeeper under a genjutsu and removed their names from the guest list. He didn't want to be around when they were looking for compensation. Within 10 minutes, Naruto and Jiraiya were walking out of Tanuki Town and on their way to the next one. Kisame and Itachi were walking through the market of Tanuki Town and Kisame closed his eyes and took a deep whiff. Without opening his eyes, he asked Itachi, "Do you smell something fishy?" Itachi's eyes widened in panic as she realized she reeked to high heaven of sex. She schooled her voice into her monotone before replying, "No." Kisame kept his eyes closed to focus on his sense of smell. Ever since he had signed the shark contract, his sense of smell hard dulled slightly, at least outside of water. He lifted his arms and took a deep whiff and recoiled. Deciding to make a joke, Kisame said, "Phew, I was walking past this fish market, right, in Kiri back in the day, right, with Juzo Biwa, right, the last time I smelled something like this." He took a deep breath in and chuckled before he said, "Phew. Good morning, ladies. That is what this smell reminds me of." Itachi blushed under the collar of her Akatsuki jacket. Maybe you are getting dehydrated. You always start smelling a little fishy when you are dehydrated. Let's find a stream and clean off. Jiraiya's gallant commentary. I remember good ol' Alina, that was probably the best use of genjutsu ever and it produced something great. I stopped back in from time to check in on her. She was a great gal and my time with her allowed my gaki to reconnect with Itachi. It is impossible to state what a profound impact this day had on the shinobi world. While I was already working with Itachi against the Akatsuki, that day set things in motion that I never could have predicted. That aside, my gaki handed me the greatest love story ever written and I didn't have to change a single thing. It is impossible to put into words how beautiful their love was. I mean, I literally walked in on my godson fucking a missing ninja in the butt with her ranked accomplice in the hallway, and I didn't even care. It was just pure gold, and I knew very well how my gaki felt about Itachi. Chef's kiss to that day and a quick shout out to Afroman for inspiring that joke there at the end. The legendary sucker, they walked, ran, camped and trained as they made the trip to Tanzaku-gai, a big tourist town and gambling destination. It is said that Tanzaku-gai has more casinos than it does coffee shops. The city was built around the nightlife and the lowlifes. Thus, it was the perfect place for Tsunade to be as the biggest annual poker tournament of any country was set to take place in 3 days. Jiraiya had no doubt that Tsunade would be there, and he wandered off to do research and search for Tsunade. Naruto sighed because Jiraiya disappeared before Naruto could even stop him. It was almost like Jiraiya forgot that he had the strongest sensory ability in the elemental nations. He could already feel Tsunade's chakra signature and he decided that he would just do what he normally does, whatever the fuck he feels like. Thus, Naruto walked into the Dragon's Tooth Casino and began to search for his quarry. Jiraiya had informed Naruto during some of his drinking sessions about Tsunade. He told her about the scars she received from the village and her reasons for not returning to it. Naruto understood, he understood it completely. A village needs to earn their shinobi's loyalty just as much as a shinobi needs to prove trustworthy to the village. For that and many other reasons, Naruto removed his headband and unsealed Gama-chan. It may be childish, but he held a special place in his heart for his toad wallet. Finding Tsunade's signature was like locating the sun on a cloudless day when she was around this many civilians. He saw her sitting at a slot machine with a tousle-haired brunette standing behind her. The brunette was pretty, not beautiful, not sexy, but most definitely pretty. She was holding a pink pig that wore a necklace of pearls and Naruto couldn't help but laugh. He decided on taking the casual approach. Tsunade had been having another unlucky day of gambling and she really needed a win to afford the sake for the night. She didn't want to cash out the loans in the town before she even got a chance to partake in the annual poker tournament. She pushed another 20 Ryu coin into the slot and pulled. Cherry, lemon, lemon. Before she could smash the machine for making her lose yet again, her head snapped to the right where a young, attractive, blonde man just hit a jackpot. The flashing lights and sounds of falling coins graces her ears and acted like some kind of drug that gave her a shot that sated her gambling fix. Tsunade moved over into the machine next to the blonde and her jaw dropped when the blonde hit another jackpot. The odds of doing that were incredibly low, especially if one's name was Senju Tsunade. She decided that she would have better luck if she were on that machine, so she opened the conversation. Oi, blondie, think you could let a girlie in on your luck? Mind trading me machines? She shamelessly flaunted her gals to the lucky blonde. Naruto shrugged as phase 1 of his plan worked. Nope. You want a couple coins to play with? Tsunade was on him in an instant and she gave him a kiss on the cheek when he handed over a handful of 20 Ryu coins. Thanks, handsome. Don't mention it. Was that machine giving you a hard time? Naruto asked, gesturing to the machine she was sitting at. Tsunade shrugged as she sat down in Naruto's place. Dunno, 3 machines down was a rotten bastard though. Naruto laughed and walked 3 machines down. Well then, I'll trade ya. If I hit this jackpot, I will give you some for getting all of the bad luck out of the way. Tsunade laughed at that as she pulled the handle on her machine. Thanks, Blondie-kun. Naruto pulled the lever on his machine and hit the mega jackpot. It was the perfect combination of bank symbols that emptied every coin in the machine onto Naruto's lap and set off the casino-wide alert that somebody had hit it. Naruto just laughed as his lap overflowed with Ryu coins. Shizune dropped Tun-Tun, her pig, onto the floor and gaped in shock. Naruto laughed harder as Tsunade was stuck with a Ryu coin and her fingers pressed against the coin slot of her machine. He beamed a gigawatt smile at Tsunade and shrugged, "Drinks on me?" Naruto stayed true to his word and gave Tsunade half of the mega jackpot winnings. She walked out with him after cashing out and he casually suggested they take advantage of his lucky streak. Naruto had 100,000 Ryu to play with and Tsunade had 40,000 Ryu after leaving the Dragon's Tooth. Tsunade challenged him to a game of poker, and they walked down the street to the Lion's Den casino. They were overtly flirting with one another and Shizune couldn't remember the last time that she saw Tsunade smiling like that. Tsunade and Naruto sat down at the High Rollers table in the Lion's Den, and they sat down next to each other for a game of Texas Hold'em. It seemed like Naruto's luck was rubbing off on Tsunade, but it was so easy for Naruto to feel the excitement, desperation and any other bluff that people were trying. He intentionally folded a couple hands that Tsunade actually had a good hand just to let her win sometimes. This was all play money for him anyways. The people at the table couldn't believe what they were seeing. The legendary sucker was actually winning at poker. It got so absurd that the table vacated except for Naruto and Tsunade. Shizune had remained gobsmacked for hours at this point and it wasn't going to change anytime soon. Unfortunately, Tsunade never knew when to quit and Naruto's stack of chips was gargantuan, and it sang out to her like a siren's song. You know, Naruto, this is the most fun and luck that I have ever had while gambling. In fact, I am feeling lucky. What do you say to a one-on-one clash? Tsunade challenged while leaning over the table. Naruto blushed at the show of cleavage. Tsunade had loosened up her outfit and her girls were practically on full display. I don't want to take your money, Tsunade-chan. Tsunade scoffed and pouted, what? You think you will win that easily? Naruto plastered a sexy smirk on his face, no, that's not it at all. I just think it would be more fun to bet something else. Tsunade tapped her lip flirtatiously. What did you have in mind, Naruto-kun? The dealer cleared his throat, this is a professional. He paused when Naruto tossed him a chip worth 20,000 Ryu. I look forward to dealing for you, mister. Naruto thought for a minute, let's start with something fun and easy. If you win this hand, I will give you one of my legendary massages free of charge. Tsunade blushed at that, if they are so legendary, then why haven't I heard about them? Naruto winked, I swear my clients to secrecy. Too much of a good thing is still too much. Tsunade tapped her lip in thought, I don't know, what would you want as compensation? Naruto shrugged, I don't want to be too presumptuous. Would a kiss be asking for too much? Tsunade looked the young man up and down for the umpteenth time that night. He had the body of an Olympic athlete and he certainly acted like he could back up his words. It wouldn't be the worst thing to kiss such a good-looking man. With her mind made up, Tsunade nodded. You're on. Is this just the buy-in or are we all in blind? Tsunade challenged. Let's start slow. All in blind for the first 3 hands. Naruto answered. The dealer dealt and Naruto flipped over his cards. He had pocket rockets. Tsunade groaned when she was dealt a deuce 3. Naruto prayed to the god of luck to lose this one. To his surprise, Tsunade won the hand with an ace through 4 straight to beat Naruto's 3 of a kind. Ha! Luck is on my side. I will bet a makeout session. What is your counteroffer? Tsunade said confidently with her chest puffed out. Naruto thought about it for a minute. I will be your manservant for a day. He offered. Oh ho! You're on, Tsunade shouted. Once again, Naruto prayed to the gods of luck to lose. He wanted the chance to stay close to her without raising he hackles. Sure enough, Tsunade won a 3 of a kind queens. Naruto laughed and shook his head. He offered her a sincere smile that made Tsunade blush. Looks like you got me beat. What would you put on the table to counteroffer this full stack? Naruto asked. Tsunade's eyes gleamed. She could really use that money, but something told her to take caution. Ara, I thought you didn't want to bet money, she said in a flirtatious tone. Naruto shrugged, I said I didn't want to take your money, Haim. I think my money going to someone as beautiful as you is money well spent. Tsunade blushed furiously at the compliment, and she found herself slightly smitten with the confident young man across the table. She decided to go over to him and whisper her offer in his ear. That much money will let you know the other meaning of my legendary sucker title. Tsunade giggled at the steam coming out of Naruto's ears and the blush that adorned his cheeks. Naruto couldn't say a word, he simply nodded goofily. Tsunade giggled like a schoolgirl and nodded. You're on, handsome. Shizune stepped in here, Tsunade-sama, you shouldn't do something you are going to regret. Tsunade head snapped to Shizune, Shizune, I am on a roll, and I honestly wouldn't regret this. She pushed off her apprentice's concerns. Deal 'em up. She chirped to the dealer. Naruto's eyes traced the hands they were dealt and he idly noted that he had a great start. The ace and queen of hearts. When the flop revealed the 10 and king of hearts, Naruto nearly burst out in nervous laughter when Shizune squeezed Tunton hard enough to make the pig squeal in protest. Tsunade's jaw dropped when Naruto won with a royal flush in hearts as the Jack of Hearts showed on the river. Naruto hadn't even touched his cards, it was an open deal, all he could do was just chuckled sheepishly. "You really don't have to do that for me," he said with his hands up. "What do you say we go grab a drink?" Naruto offered. "A deal is a deal, handsome. I know a bar that serves some killer yakisoba and a great steak. Let's head there and get to know each other better," Tsunade said with a wink. "Sounds great," Naruto said while hitting her with a genuine and slightly nervous smile. "Naruto-kun, you fox you. I didn't think you had it in you." Kurama teased from within the mindscape. "I probably don't. I was going on pure bluster and bravado up to this point." Naruto answered. He, just have fun. Who knows, maybe your seed could have a regenerative effect on her. Did you notice how you helped Itachi?" Kurama asked as they cashed out their chips. "I did?" Naruto asked. That whole day was a blur for him. Yup, she went from suffering from a terminal disease to healthy as a rainbow. You even reversed the damage done by her Mangekyo Sharingan. Kurama informed her with mirth lacing her voice. "So, let me get this straight, I have super sperm?" He thought back incredulously. "Unknown, more testing is needed. If you lay into Karen and it heals her bite marks and bad eyesight, then I would say it is a definite yes," Kurama said through fits of giggles. I wouldn't mind that. We grew close and I would love to help her." Naruto thought back, actually taking the idea seriously. Kurama giggled uncontrollably. "You are insatiable, Ruto-kun. Regardless, I say have as much fun as you want. I guarantee you she won't regret it." Naruto snapped back to as they entered a hole-in-the-wall kind of bar. Naruto sat next to Tsunade in the booth opposite of Shizune and Tuntan. He had a decent view of the door, and he was enjoying the conversation with Tsunade. It was light, friendly and it was going smoothly. "So, Naruto, where are you from?" Shizune asked the question that had been bugging her. Naruto sighed a bit and looked at both Kunoichi. "Don't kill me, but I am from Konoha, and I know you guys don't like the place." Tsunade stiffened at the mention of Konoha, and the fun atmosphere died almost immediately. "Why are you here, Naruto?" Naruto knew this needed to come out in the open and he decided to take a certain angle. "If I told you I set out looking for you but came to realize it would just be better getting to know you, what would you say?" Shizune frowned at the question and Tsunade was growling. "Why did you want to find Tsunade and why are you just telling us now?" Naruto offered an understanding smile to Shizune that honestly caught Shizune off guard with how sincere it was. "Second question first. If I approached you out of the blue without letting you get a feel for me, Tsunade Heim here would have put me through a wall. I didn't like deceiving someone that I was bonding with, so I am coming clean." Tsunade sighed. "Okay, Naruto, because you gave me what had to be the best day of my life, I will hear you out. Why did you want to find me?" Naruto placed his hand over hers and gave it a genuinely affectionate squeeze. "A very good friend of mine is in a coma. I removed Orochimaru's cursed seal from her and during the Chunin exams he marked her again to spite her. She has been in a coma since." Tsunade's eyebrows raised. "You were able to remove the cursed seal?" Naruto nodded before a sad and empty smile worked its way onto his face. It caught Shizune and Tsunade off guard with just how genuine the smile was. "I did it when I was 12 or 13. How?" Tsunade asked with her medical side completely intrigued. "Well, that is a long story. It was another reason I wanted to find you and it is why I approached you the way I did." Naruto took a deep breath here. "I have 2 bloodline abilities from the Uzumaki clan. I have the Eye of Kagura that gives me incredible sensory abilities and I have, well," Naruto sighed here. "Don't clobber me for this, but my blood, chakra and sperm have intense regenerative properties. So long as I have chakra, I am basically invincible, and I recently found out that I cured somebody's terminal illness by, well, coming inside them." A stupefied silence fixed itself on the table as the 2 women contemplated his words. Tsunade was starting to put pieces together at the mention of the Uzumaki name. If she were honest, it put a big damper on her libido, which was a downer because she was ready to jump this man's bones. "So, you are Kushina's brat?" Naruto frowned and looked into Tsunade's honeysuckle eyes. "I have been through enough pain to last a lifetime. The last time I cared to calculate the amount of accumulated hours I spent reading and training with shadow clones put my mental age at somewhere around 120 years old. I do not act like a brat, and I have done nothing but be nice to you, so I would ask you not to change how you address me, Heim." Shizune let out a low whistle while Tsunade was properly cowed and had the decency to blush. "Okay, Naruto, so you are here for purely medical reasons?" Naruto nodded. "That is why I am here. Jiraiya is here looking for you, but his chakra signature is still across town in the same place it has been since I ran into you at the casino. Tsunade tensed once more. What does that toad want with me? Naruto shrugged. Look, I don't want to ruin the night, and if he is not going to take the search seriously, then I would rather have fun where we left off. As we agreed upon while betting, I will give you the massage and I will be your manservant for a day. See if the old toad finds us by then. As I said in the casino, I do not intend to force you into paying up on the third bet. I want to keep getting to know the fun-loving Tsunade, whose beautiful smile lit up the room and put a fire in my heart. Holy Kami, Shizune gasped, I wish someone would say that to me. Tsunade nodded and filled a saucer. The least I can do is give you a night of drinking. Now that I know who you are though, I am interested in your regenerative abilities. Could you tell me more about them? Naruto took a saucer, downed it, refilled it and downed it again. Well, for starters, this isn't going to do anything for us. What would you give for some genuine Maya Akusan sake? Tsunade took Naruto's hands and put them on her breasts. Get a good squeeze, Naruto. It may be the last time you ever feel them. Naruto's eyes widened until he got a devious idea. He intended to take full advantage of the offer because Jiraiya would simply die of envy. He channeled water and fire chakra strong enough to get through Tsunade's clothes, and then he began swirling it like the Rasengan. His hands resided on Tsunade's breast for 1 minute and 12 seconds before Shizune gasped when Tsunade suppressed a moan and shuddered all over. With his job done, Naruto removed his hands and went through the summoning jutsu. Heya, Naruto. What can I do for you? Gamakichi asked with a salute. The toad was small enough to fit comfortably on the table. Naruto held out a bag of sweets and a bundle of money. Tell Bunta I am treating a princess and I want to purchase some sake. Let's say 5 gallons. Tell him I will do what he requested next time I am in Konoha. Kichi snagged the sweets with his tongue and grabbed the money. Be back in a bit, Naruto. Thanks Kichi, Naruto said before the puff of chakra smoke. He turned to see Tsunade was still in a stunned state and he beamed a smile at her. I told you, I am good with my hands. I think my chakra probably helps too. Naruto, Tsunade said while regulating her breathing. That was amazing. How? Naruto simply shrugged. Trade secret, but I thought the greatest medic ever would be able to tell. I have felt chakra massages before, but that was simply amazing. Tsunade admitted. Yup, well, Haim, I would like your help analyzing the potential of my bloodline. I also want to share a thought I had about it, and I was hoping to pitch the idea without being put through the wall. Speak. I healed some form of tuberculosis with my blood, saliva, chakra and seed. I also reversed the blinding effects of the Mangekyo Sharingan. If that was possible, then I think I would be able to make your henge completely unnecessary, Naruto said, since he knew that Tsunade aged poorly due to her strength of 100 mark. That is amazing, Shizune said. That is quite the statement, Naruto. What evidence do you have of this? Tsunade asked. I made love to Itachi Uchiha, who was in the terminal stage of tuberculosis and had nearly lost her eyesight. I noticed that she was feeling better, but Kurama, the QB, informed me of what I had done. If my blood can help people, then I want to partner with the best medic in the world to do as much as I can. If the best medic in the world happens to be one of the sexiest women in the world, then so be it. Naruto had maintained eye contact with Tsunade throughout his statement, and he was pleased by the blush he received. That is interesting enough for me to hear you out on the medical side. I don't know about anything romantic or physical though, Tsunade said before she was interrupted by the return of Gamakichi with a 5-gallon jug of Maya Akusan sake on his back. Pop said that's a good deal, Naruto. Here you go. Kichi put the jug of sake on the table. See you later. As Kichi disappeared, Tsunade shook her head and laughed. Damn, Naruto, the toads like you even better than Jiraiya. How long have you had the contract? Not even 2 months. Naruto answered. People that give me and chance get to see the real me. Most people that have done so have not been disappointed. He sealed the sake away in a scroll. Do you two know a better venue? They talked, laughed and tentatively flirted on the way to a lake that Tsunade remembered. Naruto unsealed some blankets and set them up for the ladies. As the Maya Akusan sake was consumed, blushes appeared on cheeks and the flirting reignited. It made Naruto smile because he was genuinely interested and attracted to Tsunade. Suddenly, Tsunade issued a challenge to Naruto. Ruto, if you can get Shizune to recommend you for massages, I will take you up on our first bet. If you impress me, you will get the honor to be my manservant for a day. If, and it is a big if, you prove to be a good guy, I may or may not take you up on your offer. Tsunade downed another saucer of the potent sake and sighed in content. You up for it, Shizune? Naruto asked the tipsy apprentice. Hiccup. Yup, she said with a goofy grin. Front or back massage? Regular or erotic? Naruto asked seriously. Shizune blushed furiously and Tsunade spit out a sip of sake. Back and regular, for now. Naruto smiled at the sheepish girl. You got it. Trust me, please, and remove the top of your kimono before you lie down. It took some convincing, but Shizune got her first massage. Despite it being the back massage and the regular kind, Kaito Shizune, apprentice of Tsunade, achieved release no fewer than 5 times. When Naruto got to her butt, Shizune passed out from a combination of relieved stress, sake and orgasms. Tsunade had watched the whole event with a hunger on the edge of her lips. The sake helped to alleviate the fact that there may or may not be a 40-year age gap, but a cougar has got a hunt too. And, for everyone freaking out about this, it is not that big of a deal. When I was 16, I slept with a 38-year-old woman. When I was 21, that went up to 52. My friends ribbed me for this, but when I asked if they had ever tried it, the answer was inevitably no. To those in the know, keep on keeping on. Don't judge it if you never tried it. Plus, I have enjoyed putting myself into the mind of Jiraiya. Admittedly, it may be a little too much, let me know in the comments. Tsunade blushed and looked at Naruto while removing her kimono top and lying flat on the blanket. I think I will take you up on that massage. Tsunade would never regret that decision. She had felt a lot of things in her life, and she had loved a man before. That being said, not even Dan had understood her body in such an intimate manner, and he had never done something like what Naruto did for her. This massage started cracking the walls of reason and restraint in Tsunade's mind, and this would allow her to find true happiness in the future. The accumulated stress of a life on the run, combined with a bust that was 162 centimeters around, wreaked havoc on Tsunade's back. The relief of the stress in her shoulder blades and sides alone was worth the experience. The unexpected, yet welcome, climaxes were the icing on the cake, and Naruto was a perfect gentleman the whole time. Damn, Naruto, that was amazing, Tsunade said while still lying face down on the blanket. It was my pleasure, Haim, and please call me Ruto. I think I can trust you with that, Naruto said softly after pulling Tsunade's kimono back up over her shoulders. Meanwhile, Jiraiya had enjoyed an all-day peaking tour at the hot springs, and he capped it off with a night at the brothel. It was strange that his brat hadn't found him yet, but he probably found a sweet girl to spoil rotten. Jiraiya decided to settle down and write out the scene between Naruto and Itachi in better detail. He wanted to get it while it was fresh, and he would build the second book of the subseries around that. With that scene alone, Forbidden Love 2 would be a great success. Naruto and a clone ended up carrying a very drunk, tired and content pair of women to a nearby hotel. He sprung for a fancy suite in one of the nicer casinos in Tanzaku-gai. He laid the women down in the beds and settled himself on the couch. They were amazing to hang out with, and Naruto needed to spend some quality time with Kurama. The Kitsune beauty cuddled into him and they had a whispered conversation. Kurama kept spurring him forward and encouraging him to try things with Tsunade. The only negative emotion she had sensed all night was when Naruto mentioned Konoha. With that resolved, Naruto passed out on the couch. Tsunade woke up in a bed with satin sheets in a room that was much fancier than the room she had booked with Shizune. She looked around cautiously and her heart settled when she saw Shizune sleeping in the bed next to her. Her head was surprisingly clear after a long night out drinking, and the gaps in her memory definitely confirmed that she had been drinking. She closed her eyes and focused, and the night snapped back into clarity and a blush came to her face. That young man, a man that was distant family and a pupil of Jiraiya, had come into a casino and rocked her world. Before she knew who he was, she was planning to use him to blow off some steam. It felt good for her to break out her flirt game again. She couldn't remember the last time she had indulged in it. Before he introduced himself, age wasn't going to matter. So, why did it matter now? He wasn't looking to lock her down, he simply wanted to treat her right. If that wasn't crazy in and of itself, the crazy thing was that she was seriously contemplating it. She groaned as she got out of bed, and that was when she noticed the distinct lack of pain in her back. She couldn't believe it nor remember the last time she didn't have back pain. Then, the memories of Maya Akusan's sake and a mind-blowing massage came back into focus. The guy wasn't kidding when he said he was good with his hands. She stretched out her arms and got a good sniff of herself. Well, if she was in such a nice room, then she would partake of the amenities. Tsunade walked out of the luxury bedroom in the suite and saw what should be the bathroom door. She yawned as she opened it, and when the door opened, she felt the humidity of a warm bath. She turned and saw Naruto laying back in the bath with his head resting on the rim of the tub. She was startled at first, but when he didn't react, she calmed down. She took in the young man's form and licked her lips. The face was young but toned. The body, oh Cammy, that body, was marvelous. The boy was shredded, but he was built thicker than most people she had seen. He wasn't like the burly Rakage or his brother, but his body screamed power and committed training. She walked over calmly and put a hand on his shoulder, and the boy awoke in a start. He instinctively jumped into a combat position and squared off against Tsunade despite the unorthodox constrictions of the tub. It only took him a moment to realize that it was Tsunade, and he fell back into a sheepish pose and chuckled nervously. He was completely nude, and his body was dripping water that led Tsunade's eyes downward as if they were pulled by gravity. Tsunade's eyes widened as the reflex, and they widened further when she saw what dangled between his legs. She only gawked for a couple seconds before she turned around to obscure the blush on her face. Okay, it's okay Tsunade, you are a medical professional. She thought as the images of the majestic piece flickered into her head once more. Cammy, woman, get yourself under control. Tsunade Haim, I apologize. I went for my morning run and workout. I just wanted to rinse off in the bath before I serve you and Shizune for the day, Naruto said, still standing in his sheepish pose totally exposed. It's alright, Naruto. It was my mistake, Tsunade stammered out while clamping her hands to her cheeks to temper her blush. I was just meditating a little bit and it went too far. I will get out so you can enjoy the bath. Would you like some fresh water? He asked with no teasing in his voice. No need to waste water. I will do just fine with that. After Naruto wrapped a towel around himself and exited, Tsunade slipped out of her clothes and enjoyed the bath. It was a really nice tub, and the warm water was a great way to start the day. When she exited the bath, she was treated to the smell of eggs, bacon and toast. She heard Naruto chatting with a sleepy Shizune and couldn't stop the smile from spreading onto her face. This was the most at peace she had felt in quite a while. After getting dressed and eating a delicious breakfast, she looked up into the sparkling azure blue eyes and smirked. Alright, Ruto, I can see you are serious about being my manservant for the day and I accept. We will start with full body massages for the two of us, regular, of course. We will then go to the casinos and see if our luck is holding. You will make us dinner and give us another round of massages tonight. After that, you have lived up to your end of the bargain. Tsunade had a great time the day before, but today blew away all expectations. There was something about being around the blonde that just made everything livelier and more fun. She hadn't felt this carefree in ages, and it certainly helped that she was raking in money hand over fist. She had nearly enough to pay off half of her debts while Shizune and Naruto were faring just as well. They hopped from casino to casino when it was clear that floor bosses were starting to get upset. She knew they would never make a move on her, but hey, Tanzaku Guy had nearly 100 casinos and she planned on visiting as many as she could. Even Shizune was having a great time. Tsunade couldn't remember the last time she saw her apprentice this happy. The girl couldn't wipe the smile off her face. Ever since the morning massage, she had been beaming. Naruto's positive attention to her, the way he asked questions and listened attentively, and the way he razzed her in just the right way to make it into laughing with her instead of at her were all things that Tsunade thoroughly enjoyed about the blonde. As they took the Golden Flame Casino for all it was worth, literally, Naruto had bet 20,000 Ryu on red, 10,000 on first thirds and 10,000 Ryu on 12 at a roulette table. He had gotten the permission of the floor boss and a group had gathered around to watch this spin. Tsunade and Shizune each decided to match his bets with 1,000 Ryu apiece. The end result was the casino owner begging them not to cash out their chips. Tsunade negotiated the casino owner to take responsibility for debts she had in a neighboring town, and Naruto offered the same for Tsunade's debts in the fire capital. The man had agreed within seconds and had it drafted into a contract within minutes. The three walked out of the Golden Flame with the biggest shit-eating grins on their faces ever. News of Tsunade's lucky streak had spread, and the group didn't feel like hitting any more casinos. They had the poker tournament tomorrow and they were going to relax before enjoying that. To cap the night off, Naruto served steak à la carte with asparagus and mashed potatoes. Tsunade had been elbows on the counter and watching him the whole time with a smile on her face. Ruto, why did you go out of your way to spoil us so much? I get that you want your friend healed, but I don't get all of the extra effort, Tsunade said as he was setting the plates on the table of their luxury suite. Naruto shrugged. When you have the kind of childhood I had, you learn to value and cherish your precious people. That was a lesson I learned from Haku, the girl from the wave mission I told you about. When I felt the gentle nature of your chakra and the repressed pain, among other things, I decided that I wanted to help you in any way I could. Shizune beamed a smile and Tsunade shook her head fondly. Thanks, Ruto. I don't think that I have ever felt this content. Naruto shrugged. Come back to Konoha and stay in my parents' old mansion with me then. I know that Karen and Hinata are interested in medical ninjutsu. Karen is the Uzumaki with the same bloodlines as you? Tsunade asked to confirm. Yup, but they aren't as developed. I think it is Q's chakra and my practice using them, but I can't be sure. Naruto answered. Shizune blushed. Speaking of your bloodline, do you really think your semen had anything to do with the healing? Naruto shrugged. It's just a hypothesis. That being said, the bite never healed anything like what I did with Itachi, so it is a pretty good hypothesis. Tsunade tapped her chin and thought, it is indeed. And you think it could help with my issue? Naruto offered her a sincere and understanding smile as he sat her plate down. I think you are beautiful as you are. That being said, I think it could undo the damage done to your body and lifespan at the very least. Fuck it, I want to try the erogenous massage. Impress me enough with that and we can take it from there, Rudo, Tsunade said as she bit into her steak and moaned in pleasure. Meanwhile, elsewhere, where in the actual hell is that Gaki? There are rumors about Tsunade cleaning out casinos and he is nowhere to be found. After the dinner, Tsunade and Shizune each lay on a bed, and they were blindfolded. Naruto informed them it was to alleviate their concern over their nudity and to enhance their senses. He created a clone but didn't tell them which one was getting the real Naruto. As Naruto worked the two over, moans of content from the pain relief turned into groans of pleasure. Groans of pleasure didn't take long to escalate into screams of ecstasy. The screams of ecstasy became so frequent that it led to the bliss of silence as both Kunoichi fell into pleasure comas. Tournament and old toads, Tsunade and Shizune were awoken with breakfast in bed by Naruto feeling like brand new women. The previous day was fantastic and last night was unbelievable. Especially for Shizune, who was still a virgin at 28 years old. The young apprentice was hooked on the sexy blonde newcomer and her inexperience made her adorable to watch. Tsunade was also fairly smitten and only the nagging thoughts of social expectations kept the remaining barriers intact. The trio made their way into the poker tournament and every man and woman gawked at them as they walked in. Tsunade's winning streak was among the top gambling legends within the community. To pay off nearly 15 years of debt in 1 week was a lucky roll that none of them had experienced. The stories about the 50-throw heater on the craps table at the Monkey King Casino had reached every ear present. They didn't know that it was Naruto rolling the dice, but they all heard about how the casino owner begged him to stop. Thus, gambling legends were walking through the crowd of mere mortals, and nobody felt confident about betting against Tsunade or her two companions. If they could get their entry fees back, 50% of them would have done so and cut their losses. You don't go against Lady Luck's chosen when said person is on a heater. Alas, that would prove to be sage wisdom by the end of the day, they just incorrectly identified Lady Luck's chosen one. The tournament started with just under 1,300 people and a buy-in of 5,000 ryu. Each table seated 6 people and only one winner would move on from each table. To win the tournament, you needed to win 4 consecutive tables. The final table would all win prizes, but the winner would walk away with 5 million ryu. It was the biggest poker tournament of the elemental nations, and it would turn out to be a memorable event for our blonde hero. With all of the winnings of the past day, even Shizune entered to try her luck. She was knocked out in the second round. Tsunade made it to the final 2 of her table in the third round, but that was when her luck ran out. Thus, Tsunade, Shizune and Tuntun were watching Naruto play the final table with rapt attention. Perhaps that was why Tsunade was so short with Jiraiya when he finally showed himself. You had a good run, Suheim, but all good things must come to an end, Jiraiya said. Save it Jiraiya, I am watching my man work. Tsunade replied. Your man? Jiraiya asked incredulously. Tsunade smirked, if he wins this tournament then he will be. Shizune pouted, you can't hog him all to yourself, Tsunade-sama. I would give anything to get those massages nightly. Jiraiya scanned the final table and his eyes widened in disbelief. His student was sitting at the final table and by the looks of it he had the biggest stack. However, there is no way in Yami's hell, that Tsunade was talking about Naruto. Jiraiya gulped and asked, which man are we talking about? Tsunade scoffed, the same man who got me to agree to go back to Konoha. Your new apprentice. Jiraiya's jaw dropped and he remained wide-eyed and slack-jawed until the crowd roared. Jiraiya sought Tsunade and Shizune cheering like maniacs and he turned to see Naruto taking the pot that knocked out one of the contestants. He shook his head to clear his mind and turned to address Tsunade once again. Suheim, you can't be serious, he is young enough to be. Finish that sentence and you're a dead man, Jiraiya. That boy has done more for me in the past 2 days than anyone else in my life except Shizune. I am in such a good mood that I won't even beat your head in for staring at my glorious chest. That blondie there, guess what Jiraiya, that young man took away my back pain, among other things. So, save your self-righteous commentary and let me watch him work. Shizune looked apologetically at Jiraiya. I agree with milady. It was the first time in my life that I was treated like a woman, no offense Tsunade-sama. Tsunade waved her off, diverting her attention from Naruto to the screens that showed the hands. Jiraiya's head mechanically turned towards Naruto and a look equal parts rage, desperation, denial, pride and jealousy fixed itself upon his face. The woman he had pined over for over half a century was telling him that she would choose his godson and student over him? The Gaki over Jiraiya the Gallant? Denial became the dominating emotion in Jiraiya the Gallant, and it was necessary for him to preserve his sanity. One by one they came and fell. The final table lasted an hour and 40 minutes as Naruto's luck was repeatedly put to the test. He determined within the first 30 minutes that two people at the table were cheating. Unfortunately for them, he had luck and his sensory ability on his side, and he successfully sauntered through the minefield and won. It certainly helped that when he was in the final three that Tsunade said she would keep promise 3 if he won. With an inspiring determination, Naruto buckled down and saw things through. Even Jiraiya was forced to celebrate as it was the only logical thing to do when your godson won 5 million ryu. The money was brought out in an elaborate ceremony and Naruto had his picture taken with Tsunade, Shizune, Jiraiya and Tuntan. The photographer for the magazine had joked that it would be the first time a pig would be on the front cover of their magazine. After the official business was over and the money was safely sealed away in Naruto's forearm, the party began. Jiraiya drank to remember better times and he drank to forget some of the things he had learned today. Naruto had somehow wormed his way into his Haim's heart, and it didn't exactly feel good to admit that. To make matters worse, Tsunade had been gentle with letting him let down, which told Jiraiya that she wasn't just saying it to be spiteful. That being said, things went from pleasure to business in a hurry the following morning when he was led into the VIP suite the next morning. Really quick, that was another thing that irked the hell out of Jiraiya. The Gaki, his Gaki, wins a poker tournament and gets a VIP suit and his Gaki didn't let him stay in the VIP room? Whatever happened to brothers before hoes? Oh, yeah, Jiraiya had knocked that nonsense right out of him. Oh, yeah, Jiraiya most definitely would have done the same thing. Oh, shit, the student has surpassed the master. At least the Gaki covered one of the high roller suites for his godfather and sensei alone. And Jiraiya had woken up with 4 girls around, so maybe he could forgive his Gaki for this one, eventually. Back to business, Jiraiya walked in to see Naruto with a trillion-watt smile on his face and Jiraiya saw that both Tsunade and Shizune were grinning like loons. He looked into the fancy-ass bedroom of the suite and saw crumpled sheets and splotches on the bed. Lucky bastard. Lucky fucking Gaki bastard. The Gaki was lucky that Jiraiya loved him like his own because he would have ripped the heart out of any other man. Jiraiya sat down for breakfast and looked at Tsunade. Other than the postcoital glow, there was something different about her. She must have changed her henge, but why would she look older then? Suheim, what have you done with your henge? Jiraiya expected Tsunade to scream and rage at him. The last thing he expected was for her to smile a brilliant and gorgeous smile. Well, Miracle Boy here healed me. I still haven't quite figured out how it is quite possible, but this is me without a henge. Jiraiya spit out his orange juice in surprise. BBB but you only look 30. 31 tops, Jiraiya said incredulously. I know, Tsunade squealed excitedly, isn't it great? I haven't looked or felt this good in forever. My best guess is his healing factor activated my Uzumaki longevity and Senju healing and voila. You were always beautiful, Tsunade, I just gave you a little boost. Naruto sat down with his own breakfast and looked at Jiraiya. I would offer a similar treatment to you, but, well, I am not doing that with any man. Nuh-uh, no, not never. Jiraiya's fork clattered to the table, and he looked in wide-eyed disbelief at Naruto. Gaki, you didn't, did you? Get over yourself, Jiraiya. I ain't marrying the kid. He gave us the best 3 days of our lives and we simply gave in. Don't overthink it and don't freak out, Tsunade said firmly while glaring Jiraiya down. Now that the fun is over with, I need to talk to you both about something serious. Serious? Naruto asked flippantly while putting some eggs into his mouth. Orochimaru is here, and I am supposed to meet him in 2 days. Tsunade coughed up the details she had been holding back since she met Naruto. Naruto looked at her as if he were betrayed. Why are you meeting with that fucking snake? He was subconsciously channeling Kurama's chakra and Jiraiya was at his side in a flash to calm him down. Tsunade looked apologetically at him. Right before you showed up, Rudo, he approached me to heal his arms. He offered to bring Dan and Noaki back. Suheim, you didn't, Jiraiya said. Tsunade looked up at him defiantly. No, I didn't. Then her features dampened, and she looked down at her plate. I probably would have if Naruto didn't show up though. It would never be worth it. The Edo Tensei doesn't, Jiraiya started to say. I know, Jiraiya. I know, okay. I know. Tsunade was falling into a downward spiral when she felt Naruto's arms wrap around her. She appreciated how he was able to set aside his own anger to prioritize her feelings. I don't blame you for wanting them back. I don't blame you for anything. So, when can I kill that fatherfucker? Naruto whispered softly into her ear while hugging her from behind. Jiraiya was surprised by the level of intimacy and the fact that Naruto wasn't flying through several walls. He knew the kid could probably survive a punch from Tsunade, but he didn't want to see it happen. When and where is the meet, Suheim? 2 days from now at noon in front of Tanzaku Castle. Tsunade answered. You mean the castle that was recently destroyed? Jiraiya asked to confirm, and Tsunade nodded. Shit, that isn't enough time for me to open the seal. I would need more time to get used to it, Naruto said while thinking. And he likely knows we are here. He is a disgusting and foul bastard, but he is cunning. Tsunade pulled him closer into her and grabbed his hands in a comforting gesture. We will figure out a way to help Anko. Between your blood and my knowledge of the medical arts, we will find something. Naruto placed a kiss on the back of her head. Thanks, damn it. I can't call you Haim because it feels like I am stealing it from Uro-Senin. Any preferences on a pet name? Hokage-chan? Tsunade offered. You are going to take the position? Jiraiya said while gawking. Tsunade grunted, how else am I going to protect Ruto from Danzo and those decrepit elders? Jiraiya nodded dumbly, wow, Gaki, you do good work, you should be an espionage specialist, based on what I have seen, you could turn assets better than anyone in the business. Naruto growled, I don't manipulate. I have not lied to Tsunade or Shizune once since I have met them. That's true, Shizune said while blushing. To think I agreed to be in a harem of all things. Naruto growled loudly enough to grab everyone's attention. It is not a harem. That implies I treat you like sex objects or something foul. As I have said repeatedly, you are my precious people and I wanted to make you feel loved because I connected with you. Kami damn it. It is so hard to explain without sounding like a mega perv. Jiraiya laughed boisterously, Gaki, I may be a slight bit mad at you and quite jealous of you, but there is a large part of me that couldn't be prouder. Naruto held up a hand to cut him off. Kyofu, I know you are going to ask for details or pictures. I would ask you not to do so in front of Tsunade because I don't feel like paying for the repair bills in a place as fancy as this. Jiraiya looked into the I fucking dare you eyes of Tsunade, gulped hard and then nodded. Fine Gaki, I won't. But Suheim, you are really going to take up the position? Regretfully, yes. Konoha should be grateful to Ruto, he gave me some good concessions and even better ideas, Tsunade said while grinning. Return to Konoha, Naruto, Jiraiya, Tsunade, Shizune and Tuntun were walking back on the road to Konoha and Naruto was eyeing Shizune carefully. He had nearly been too weak to stop one of his precious people from dying again. That slippery bastard Kabuto caught everyone off guard with his old blood ability. It was like an inferior version of his own, but when he stabbed Shizune through the heart after everyone thought he was dead, Naruto nearly lost it. Tsunade had been so distraught by the distraction that it allowed Orochimaru and Kabuto to escape. The image of Shizune coughing up blood and nearly dying would haunt Naruto and Tsunade for the rest of their lives. Naruto had gotten to her side almost immediately and before he knew it, he was in his three-tailed state. He pumped every bit of life-giving chakra he could into his forearm, and he was grateful that Shizune had enough left in the tank to bite down. Tsunade wasn't able to move until Shizune got back to her feet and embraced her in a hug to prove she was okay. For the last day, he had been watching her carefully and so had Tsunade. For such a serious wound to the heart to get healed instantly was miraculous. Tsunade determined that Kabuto had narrowly missed the primary chakra core, otherwise not even healing chakra would have been able to heal her wounds. Nobody fought her on that, they were simply grateful for the small miracle and another chance at life for Shizune. Jiraiya interrupted his thoughts, and he paid more attention when he heard Jiraiya's serious tone. Say, Gaki, we are still a day out since we aren't traveling at shinobi speeds. Want to try opening the seal now? With Tsunade and I here, it should be enough security. I know a good cave near here that we could use. That would be great, let me see if Kurama is up for it, Naruto said while beaming a smile. Kurama tapped her lips and thought, I am ready. I have been ready since I first fell for you. That being said, it will be a stressful event. When you open the gate, I will let you pull my chakra. That being said, as we have discussed before, my chakra is potent, and it is saturated with the centuries of anger and hatred that I built up. What if we just open the gate for today then? Naruto thought back. That would make life easier, and I can worry about getting access to your full chakra later. Kurama pondered the idea and frowned a bit. Ruto, if you did that, I could break free at any time. If I got enraged enough, it might even happen unintentionally. Naruto shrugged. I trust you, Q-chan. Kurama couldn't help but blush and smile at that. Let's get home for now. I want it to be something special when we are fully united. Naruto nodded and turned to Jiraiya. She doesn't want to do it in some cave. She wants it to be special and meaningful, and I agree. Tsunade smiled and looped her arm into Naruto's. I would expect no less from you, Ruto. Shizune looped through his other arm and Tuntun jumped on his head. Yup. She reached up on her tippy toes and kissed his whiskered cheek. That's Ruto. Oink, 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 squeal, Shizune giggled. My oh my, even Tuntun is taken with you, Ruto. Naruto simply beamed a gigawatt smile and continued his trek down the road with his precious people. His heart swelled with contentment, and he closed his eyes and thanked Kami-sama for the blessings in his life. After staying a night in the cave Jiraiya mentioned, the group approached the gates of Konoha the following day around noon. Everyone noticed how Naruto tensed slightly as the gates came into view, and it made Tsunade start growling lowly. She took this job to be with and protect Naruto, and that is exactly what she would do. Yawn. I am so bored. Izumu whined while he leaned against the guard shack and watched his partner take a nap. That was the only good part about this duty. They got to alternate slacking and they had gotten into a good rhythm with it. Well, we have had enough action to last the rest of the year. Just enjoy the peace. Kotetsu replied with his head still sitting on the desk. It could be far worse. We could be like Team Row and be on back-to-back-to-backs rank missions. Izumu shivered. Nah, no thanks. I like sleeping too much. I heard that Kat only gets to sleep a couple hours every other day. Sigh. She does that because Hayate died before the invasion. That motherfucker, Kabuto, killed him. She is just burying herself in work, Kotetsu said while rolling his head onto the other side. We got incoming, Izumu said before he squinted and focused chakra to his eyes. Looks like Jiraiya, Naruto and, oi. Wake up Ko. Kotetsu jumped up as if a bomb just went off under the desk. Wah. Wah. What is it? Izumu pointed out to the group walking slowly towards them that was 300 meters away. Is that? Tsunade, Kotetsu said under his breath before he went to the desk and activated the seal. Naruto put both his hands behind his head and leaned his head back to look into the sky as they neared the gates. He took a deep breath and let it out slowly before he lowered his head with hardened eyes. The change was stunning for Tsunade and Shizune to see. Unfortunately, Jiraiya was used to it and he lamented the fact that it was necessary. Hokage-chan, Naruto started cheekily, I will always and forever be here for you. That being said, do not let any of these decrepit fuckers make that link between us. Tsunade frowned and growled, you got it, Ruto. Battle mode on, for now. The first chance you get, you are installing a new privacy system in my office. Sure thing, Hokage-chan, Naruto said before he completely closed of his flirtatious side. He saw the Anbu team waiting for them and he knew the council had already been summoned. Anbu team Charlie was on duty and the squad leader, Crane, knelt onto one knee and bowed to Tsunade. Tsunade-sama, you have been asked to appear before the Konoha Council. Tsunade grunted, they can't even let me put my bags down. Very well, let's get this over with. Within the council chambers, the extended council was once again assembled, and it was led by the three elders. Tsunade growled internally at the sight of Danzo. She couldn't believe the brass sack on the old cripple to show himself in front of her. She looked across at the familiar faces of the Shinobi Council and allowed a small smile to pull at the edges of her lips. Then she turned toward the Civilian Council and her face hardened into granite. She took her seat, and it was Koharu that opened the meeting. The Council of Konoha welcomes you back to Konoha, Tsunade-sama. Should we understand that you agreed to take the position if you are sitting in that chair? Tsunade grunted, yes, Naruto convinced me to take the position. A civilian councilor scoffed, and Tsunade's head snapped in her direction. Got something to say about that? She asked in a challenging tone laced with ki. Mibuki Haruno stood up, Tsunade-sama, it is unbecoming of one such as yourself to give that demon the credit for your own greatness. Mibuki ducked suddenly as the paperweight holding Tsunade's papers down missed her right ear by an inch. I will get this out of the way now. I don't give a damn about my sensei's law. That being said, keep your unwanted and unsolicited opinions to yourself. Naruto did convince me to return, and it was he that convinced me to be the Hokage. Homura cleared his dusty old throat, very well, Tsunade-sama. We will notify Daimyo-sama. I have already sent a messenger toad to Kenji. He will be here in 2 days for the swearing in, Jiraiya said with his arms crossed while leaning against the back wall of the council room. Tsunade coughed to get the attention on her. Fill me in on what I have missed. How have the repairs gone and what issues need to be addressed? Naruto, who was standing against a wall of the chambers next to Shizune, felt many fluctuations of emotions at that question. He didn't know why, but he imagined he wouldn't like the reason when discovered. He watched the proceedings disinterested as Shikaku described the state of repairs and status with missions. Evidently, Konoha pushing back Suna and Otto garnered the attention of many lords and prominent merchants. This created a mission influx and high-level shinobi have been busy. Thank you, Shikaku. It is remarkable that we were able to scrape up the funding to cover all of the necessary repairs in such a short time, Tsunade said, which made Shikaku wince, and Tsunade caught it. Where did we get the funding? Was it not the treasury? Koharu looked right at Naruto with a taunting smirk before she turned to Tsunade. We used our authority as the Elder Council and took guardianship of some account that had lain dormant for quite a while. In the absence of the Hokage, we used money from these accounts to cover the cost of repairs. She didn't add that Danzo had taken quite a bit of the money for his route. Tsunade was balling her fists and she forced herself to take a deep breath before asking, and what names were these accounts under? They were left by Uzumaki Kushina and Namikaze Minato. Since their heir is not yet of age, the Hokage is the guardian of such accounts. In the absence of the Hokage, and through emergency powers, we decided to use these accounts to cover the cost of repairs. Homura answered. The council was startled as Naruto appeared holding Koharu and Homura by the throats in his three-tailed cloak. The key in the chamber was so overwhelmingly that the civilians were flattened and the shinobi were sweating. Naruto spoke in a growl so low and menacing that Homura shit himself. You fuckers did what? He cocked his head and looked menacingly between Homura and Koharu. You were here when Kenji-sama recognized me as heir to both clans. This whole damned council was here. You had no right. Naruto, Tsunade shouted to get his attention. She didn't want the 8 Anbu behind Naruto to kill him. Stand down. Anbu stand down. Naruto heard Tsunade's voice and it broke through the rage. He let the 2 old goats crumple onto the ground, and he spit on them before glaring directly into Danzo's eye. He leaned into the stoic cripple's face and spoke in a menacing whisper. You're next, you evil fucker. Try using that eye on me, I fucking dare you, I will rip it out of your fucking skull before you can blink. Danzo shifted slightly and looked at Naruto. I, Shimura Danzo, charge Uzumaki Naruto with assault of a Konoha elder. It is clear that the boy cannot contain the Kyuubi's chakra. Before that shit could go anywhere, Tsunade spoke in a firm voice that carried across the room. Denied. You deliberately stole money from a founding clan of Konoha despite an heir being named. Naruto, return to Shizune, please. Her voice left no room to argue, so Naruto dispersed the Kyuubi cloak, pushed multiple tanto aside with a single finger and walked back to Shizune. This, of course, earned outrage from the civilian council. It took a couple minutes for them to calm down and Tsunade had enough of it. She punched her desk hard enough to shatter it into splinter and shake the Hokage tower. Tsunade spoke in a menacing growl while glaring down the elders. Look here, I won't even deal with you elders right now. I will let Kenji know of this and I will request his financial analyst discovers wherever you went. I thank you for volunteering your own clan accounts to reimburse a portion of what was stolen. The Bank of Konoha can cover the rest. The entire amount will be treated as a loan and anyone that disagrees can have an intimate chat with my fist. Otaru, a civilian counselor that represented the bank, spoke up. The bank cannot afford to reimburse, nor will it serve the demon. Tsunade laughed at that. Then your bank will be closed, and its assets confiscated by the Fire Lord until such a time as he can assign a new financier. This properly cowed Otaru. Did the boy bribe you, Tsunade-sama? I saw the cover of Gambler's Gossip. Is that why you defend him so? Mibuki Haruno asked. Tsunade sighed and waved her hand towards Mibuki. Anbu, I cannot bring myself to put up with her. Take her to Ibiki and Inoiki. She will be the first counselor that will go through my corruption screening. This is a notice for the rest of you. Every member of my council will be going through this screening. Failure to comply will void your seat on the council. The civilian council and elders paled at this. You can't do that. You are not the Hokage yet. Mibuki shrieked in fear as Anbu surrounded her. Tsunade put her hand to her chin and thought before laughing. She called out in a booming and authoritative voice. Anbu, who do you serve? All 20 Anbu in the room appeared and knelt in front of Tsunade. The Hokage. Anbu, who is your Hokage? Tsunade continued and Naruto beamed a smile at her. Senju Tsunade, God I'm Hokage. They replied. Tsunade turned her head to Mibuki and the civilian council. There you have it. Have a nice vacation in Tondi. Now, it is my first day back and I already grow weary of this. Is there any other issue that needs to be addressed? Naruto stepped forward. I wish to know if I earned my promotion to Chunin for my efforts in the exams and invasion. Danzo clicked his cane. You did not. Your selfishness displayed in the exam was unbecoming of a Chunin officer. Did you three decide that? Tsunade asked with a raised eyebrow. We did. Danzo replied stoically. He was contemplating using Koto Amatsukami, but he would have more opportunities in the future. Shikaku coughed to get Tsunade's attention and she nodded to him. They disregarded Sandaime's notes and overwhelmingly evidence that Uzumaki Naruto was ready for the promotion. It is my personal belief that they did so to ensure that they maintained custodianship of Uzumaki-san's assets. This earned a growl from the elders and civilian council. Tsunade sighed. Very well, I will review the notes from Sensei and the invasion and come to my own decision. This council is dismissed and will reconvene next week on Monday morning at 8 a.m. This will be a repeating weekly appointment until I have gotten caught up to speed. Later, Tsunade walked into the Uchiha compound alongside Mikoto, Naruto, and Shizune. Jiraiya had broken off to do research. As they entered Mikoto's home, Naruto was glommed by Karen and Hinata. He returned the hug and smiled down on them. The rest just watched the display with fond smiles. It was refreshing after that idiotic council meeting. How were you two while I was gone? Naruto asked fondly. Karen scoffed. That old cripple tried sending his goons to get me as soon as you left. Mikoto frowned at that memory. They were not aware of the security upgrades you installed. The police force detained them after your barrier incapacitated them. They died in their cells that night before we could extract information. Naruto sighed. Let me guess, nothing that could definitively link them to Danzo? I am going to hate this. Why don't I just splatter him on the wall? Tsunade asked. Naruto shrugged. I dunno. The Sandaime said something about him being protected. I think that Danzo has all of Konoha's dirty laundry and he is using that to guarantee his life. I wouldn't be surprised if he rebuilt his route as well. Tsunade cracked her knuckles. Then Cold War it is. Naruto nodded. I am going to develop a seal for each of the Shinobi Council. I know how the Koto Amatsukami works and I won't let him use it on you. He took Tsunade's hand in his own and gave it a reassuring squeeze. N Naruto-kun, the Hyuga clan tried as well. The seal you gave me worked, but K. Kurenai ordered me and not to go into the village alone, Hinata said shyly. Tsunade ruffled her hair. I will put you under my protection. They won't be able to do anything to you. So, what do you say? Would you and Karen like to be my apprentices? Hinata's eyes widened, and she nodded excitedly, as did Karen. The group then migrated to Anko's room and Tsunade immediately set to work with Shizune. They worked to complete the integration of the Cursed Seal of Heaven into Anko's chakra network. With that stabilized, she worked with Naruto to have Anko bit him. With the chakra circulatory system stabilized, Naruto's healing chakra could actually take effect. Tsunade then did her diagnosis jutsu again before she placed her palms on Anko's temples. It was a couple minutes later that Anko took a stuttering breath and her eyes cracked open for the first time in 2 months. Naruto hugged her tenderly and she was so surprised that she couldn't even react. With his precious lover healed, Naruto steeled himself and prepared to take on the world to protect his most precious people. Time skip. 2 months later, Naruto was returning alone absent a completely dysfunctional Team 7 on a boat returning from Yuki no Kuni, Snow County. He shook his head as the time on open sea allowed him to meditate and collect his thoughts. So much had happened in such a short time that it was harder to process that a training session of his clone's memories. He took a deep breath of the sea air and calmed his mind to align it all together. First, Anko was healed, and he sealed away the cursed seal as best he could. He took notes when he was able to get the full seal revealed. He had started poring over the advanced Fuinjutsu books as well as his mother and father's notes. He was going to remove that taint from his lover once more or die trying. He left Anko in Konoha 6 weeks ago and she was already well under the way to a full recovery. It was good to have his heavy Heim back and he spent most of the time building her back up. Having the cursed seal once more hit her hard and she was struggling to find herself. One thing she did to alleviate her frustrations was throw herself completely into the corruption investigation and interrogations of the civilian counselors. He felt super guilty over Anko's condition. He should have done more to fight against and delay the snake pedophile. If he did that, then maybe Anko wouldn't have to live with that seal again. After waking up, Anko was wearing her mask in front of the others, and she exposed a self-conscious fragility in front of Naruto. She had demanded that he try to remove it again and he told her that he would need to be more careful with it this time. He begged her understanding and promised her that he would do everything in his power to remove it once more. A couple days after returning to Konoha, Karen had told him that she wanted him as more than just family. She took time during his absence to think about their relationship, and she told him that she wanted to rebuild the Uzumaki clan. She then pointed out that the two of them were the best option for that. She told him she loved him, and he spent a couple wonderful nights with her before he was sent on this clusterfuck of a mission. Kurama's speculations were correct, and after their first night together, Karen's bite marks healed, and she no longer needed her glasses. She wore a pair without a prescription because she said she liked the way she looked in glasses. Before Naruto left for Snow Country, she had dived into her apprenticeship with Tsunade, and she was having a blast learning the healing arts. Hinata was still very shy with him. She was glad that she was his fiancée by contract, but she said that she wanted a chance to get to know him first. Of his girls, she was by far the most innocent, and that resulted in a mostly PG-rated relationship. Naruto was fine with that, and he was just taking it slowly to help her. Despite Hinata's restraint, Naruto felt the suppressed emotions of a wild nymphomaniac underneath her veil of self-control. He, or more precisely a clone team, had also completed the removal seal for her caged bird seal while on this mission. He was excited to do that for her when he returned to Konoha. Tsunade's two apprentices reminded Naruto of his partner and staunchest ally in Konoha. Naruto had reinforced her office with seals that he modified from his dad's notes. Nobody could use chakra in her office except those that had the permission seal, which was a small Fuinjutsu tattoo Naruto developed. Tsunade accepted the tattoo and had Naruto place it under her left breast because she didn't want certain crippled bastards figuring out her secret. Naruto also put a permanent version of the anti-espionage and privacy barrier seals on her desk. He did everything he could think of for her to make sure that she was protected in his absence. He remembered the private meeting he had with her and Kenji. The fire daimyo admitted that Danzo held a debilitating amount of blackmail, and that was why he hadn't moved against the cripple. It was a frustrating horse pill to swallow, but they resolved to just insulate themselves from his influence. Danzo had made an enemy of the daimyo, but the spies he had in the daimyo's court would never know that. During the inauguration, Kenji began his investigation, and every Ryu of Naruto's inheritance was to be accounted for. The investigation was still ongoing when Naruto had left for this mission. Thoughts of Tsunade brought Naruto to thoughts of Shizune. Unlike Tsunade, Shizune didn't see the need to hide their relationship. The pretty and formerly innocent apprentice of Tsunade was more than happy to explore her sensuality, and, man, did she feel like a woman. She worked as Tsunade's secretary, and she assisted in Hinata and Karen's training. She helped Tsunade stay on top of everything, and her organization skills made it far easier for Tsunade to shoulder the Hokage's load. She was a blessing for every one of Naruto's precious people, and Naruto made sure to express his gratitude every chance he could. That brought Naruto's thoughts to Kurama. He was close with each of his precious people, but it was difficult to describe the soul bond between himself and the Kitsune beauty. He opened the seal with assistance from Jiraiya. He hadn't tried to take her chakra yet, but opening the seal alone deepened their bond more than he was expecting. Without the intervention of the seal, the connection between two entities gifted with godly sensory abilities was intimate. Naruto knew every thought and feeling his partner had, and she had the same privileges as he did. She was able to feel out his entire soul, every bit of love and pain laid bare for her to feel. It was something wonderfully unique and intrinsically terrifying. The biggest change of the two after the seal was opened was Naruto's ability to place her essence into his shadow clones. That discovery led to many wild and sleepless nights, but Naruto wouldn't have it any other way. He even introduced her to Koyuki, and the daimyo of spring was able to experience that amazing sensation of a threesome. Following the natural drift of his thoughts, Naruto opening the seal reminded him of the surprise visit with his father, or at least a chakra imprint of his father. Namikaze Minato appeared within the seal and attempted to stop Naruto at first. Then Naruto forced the memories of his life into his father's head, and the man, the legendary Kiroi Senko, the Yellow Flash, fell to his knees in tears. His son's childhood was worse than he had feared, and Minato spent the first 20 minutes of his time apologizing to his son. After that was dealt with, Minato told Naruto about his mother's essence in the seal and told him that she would assist when he was ready for Kurama's chakra. He also told Naruto of his secret hideout that he had in an underground base outside of the fire capital. That was where he kept the notes for his Hiraishin and his more powerful seals. He told his son the details of his training that enabled him to use the Hiraishin, and he gave him some pointers to hold on to once he had the jutsu down. He explained the rift between civilian and shinobi councils. He was working towards disbanding the civilian council because all it did was propagate corruption. That was why he had his secret base. He didn't want to risk such dangerous jutsu falling into Danzo's or the council's greedy hands. He also gave Naruto a couple ideas for how to properly deal with Danzo and bring the will of fire back to Konoha. He told him to trust Kenji and to share the details of this meeting with him. Finally, the time came when Minato's chakra imprint faded. He gave his son a heartfelt hug and told him that he believed in him. He addressed Kurama and apologized for ripping her essence in half. He entrusted his son to her, and his lover actually got her father's permission for their relationship. It was a slightly odd exchange, but it was heartwarming overall. With a final smile and ruffle of Naruto's hair, the last of Namikaze Minato's essence disappeared from the living world. With the feelings for the people that he loved resolved, his mind wandered to Team 7. This mission only served to highlight the complete dysfunctionality of the team. Naruto had never moved past Kakashi killing Haku, and the Jonin had done very little to make amends. Kakashi was still too trapped in his guilt for the past to do anything proactive that would alleviate his guilt now. It was mostly a non-issue because Naruto didn't depend on Kakashi for anything, but it was annoying nevertheless, especially after his meeting with his father. Sasuke was a bigger problem than ever, and there were a couple contributing factors to this. First, the cursed seal. Even with the evil sealing method, Sasuke was becoming less and less stable. He had activated the cursed seal after Naruto killed Mizore. He was originally fighting Nidaruga, but Naruto killed that pathetic excuse for a shinobi easily. He then went to assist Sasuke and intervened when it looked like Mizore was going to kill Sasuke. Sasuke was already livid about Naruto being promoted to Chunin before him. So, when Naruto intervened, Sasuke was so enraged by Naruto stealing his kill that he pulled on the power of the cursed seal of heaven. Before Kakashi could stop it, Naruto issued a beatdown to Sasuke that forced the deactivation of the cursed seal and ended with Naruto applying a paralysis seal to the back of his neck. Kakashi was absent because he had needed to back up Sakura against the girl in the chakra armor that could fly. Sakura was helpless against her, and Kakashi had to provide cover and relief to the sole kunoichi of the team. That brought up a major source of headaches in the form of Sakura. She was still a devoted believer in Sasuke, and she would not shut up. She constantly belittled Naruto in front of the clients, constantly undermined suggestions Naruto made, and she nearly shattered every window on the ship when Koyuki chose Naruto to be in the movie over Sasuke. It only got worse after Naruto fought against Sasuke, and it nearly compromised the mission. Sakura was supposed to be guarding Koyuki, but during the fight on the train tracks she had left her post to provide assistance to Sasuke. That caused the death of a film crew member and the abduction of Koyuki. It was at that point that Naruto left a shadow clone in his place and ran off to do his own thing. He knew, as a matter of fact, that he would be better off on his own. Thus, he followed the blimp to a valley where Koyuki's father had left a machine that her crystal necklace unlocked. Dodo, the unjust dictator of Yuki no Kuni and killer of Koyuki's father, thought that the machine was some weapon that would allow Yuki no Kuni to dominate the world. Naruto enjoyed the look on his face before he killed him when he discovered that it was a heat generator. The dumbstruck look was priceless. With Dodo out of the picture, Naruto remained with the princess as she watched the message left by her father. That made Naruto smile in fond reminiscence of Princess Koyuki Kazahana, better known to the world as the actress Yuki Fujikaze. The originally obstinate woman melted in Naruto's presence, just as so many had done before her. It only took her a couple days for her to choose Naruto as her primary bodyguard. She couldn't stand the stuck-up Uchiha or the pink Banshee. As her bodyguard, the time on the ship allowed Naruto to do what he does best, get people to open up. Koyuki opened up to him like the legs of the women in the Icha Icha series. She told him of her fears and insecurities. She told him how she was scared of confronting her uncle, but she confided that she was more terrified of letting her people down. Naruto told her that she could always count on him for help, and Koyuki believed him, strangely enough. It was only proven to her when Naruto killed two of Dodo's strongest shinobi on the glacier. It was after that battle on the glacier that Koyuki kissed him for the first time. That opened the floodgates, and it was after that first makeout session that Koyuki informed the director of the movie that Naruto would play the male lead in the film. This was when the dysfunction dividing Team 7 escalated to idiotic proportions. She watched on in disbelief as the Uchiha Saiyan acted like a complete and utter self-righteous little bitch. All the while his loyal little Pinky was following him around and deafening those that didn't give the Uchiha everything he wanted. Before the trek through the mountains, Sasuke had seen Naruto and Koyuki kissing. Later that night, he had taken guard duty and attempted to force himself on the princess. In his words, she should be grateful to birth an Uchiha heir. Naturally, Naruto sensed Koyuki's distress, and he kicked the door open before beating the Uchiha down once more. This resulted in a bolstered samurai guard and Sasuke being ordered to remain within Kakashi's sight for the rest of the mission. After that incident with Sasuke, the only time Naruto left Koyuki's side was the battle on the train tracks. Well, that is if you don't count her abduction by Dodo. After things were settled, Team 7 accompanied her as she made the tour to inform the people of Snow Country of her ascendancy. After the trip to the capital of the country previously named Yuki no Kuni, now Haru no Kuni, Spring Country, Koyuki asked Team 7 to leave. Naruto used a messenger toad to get approval from Tsunade to stay behind to film the movie. This caused the Uchiha's biggest temper tantrum yet, and Kakashi finally got the balls to stamp it out himself. Kakashi took a chakra bound and paralyzed Sasuke over his shoulder with a silent Sakura onto a ship departing from Spring Country. The only reason Sakura was quiet is because Naruto applied a silencing seal to the base of her neck, and he gave the removal seal to Kakashi. Kakashi pulled Naruto aside and gave him a hug of gratitude for this act of kindness. Kakashi decided to enjoy the quiet time, so Sakura was unable to speak for most of the trip back to Konoha, and Sasuke sat in a timeout for the whole journey by sea. The time on the sea for Kakashi was paradise as he read Icha Icha, Private Masseuse in heavenly silence. Naruto's meditation placed him in a further contented state as he thought about the time with Koyuki after Team 7 left. It was fun, flirty, constructive and downright sexy. Koyuki spent every moment she could with Naruto, from acting as the newly instated daimyo, to acting in the movie. As their attraction blossomed, the quality of their acting in the Princess Gale movie reached new heights. They were so natural together that the scenes with the two became the highlights of the movie. For my fellow perverts, Koyuki and Naruto fucked like bunny rabbits that didn't know one of them was sterile. They went at it again and again, and as I said before, Kurama eventually joined in. Some people believe that Koyuki was simply so happy to be back in control of her home country. Others believed that she was so happy because that was honoring her father's legacy. Her loyal fans believed she was happy to be filming the new Princess Gale movie in her own country. It was only her maids and closest attendants that knew she was so happy because Naruto gave her everything she could ever want in the bedroom, bathroom, throne room, council room, kitchen, garden, you get my point. Thus, Naruto was returning to Konoha with a treaty proposal from Spring Country and a bunch of good memories. He also had a promised home should Naruto ever get sick of the fools in Konoha. It was a sincerely tempting offer coming from the princess, but he could never leave his other precious people behind like that. He rose out of his meditation and went to his room on the ship. He had a kitsune goddess to tend to. He cuddled into the little bed with Kurama, and the kitsune beauty cuddled into his warmth. He fell asleep in sheer bliss with Kurama at his side and free of the seal with a resting smile on his face. It took Naruto 2 more days to make it back to Konoha. He really needed to locate his father's hidden base and get the Hiraishin scroll. Wasting so many days away from his precious people for simple travel was, well, it was a drag, to quote a friend. Once back in Konoha, and after a quick massage, followed by a quickie with Tsunade in her office, Naruto was once more in front of the Konoha Council. The council, luckily only the main council this time, reviewed the treaty. This part of the meeting went well, and then it was time for the shenanigans. The sponsor of said shenanigans was none other than Kouri Utatane. Chunin Uzumaki, we reviewed the mission report and find your conduct reprehensible for a Konoha shinobi and in desperate need of corrective action, she said snidely. Naruto cocked his head almost fully to the side. Come again? And may I ask who this we is? Koharu sneered at him. You will respect your elders, boy. You attacked fellow Konoha shinobi on multiple occasions and endangered the mission. There are multiple witnesses to this, and I petition this council to decide a fitting punishment. And the we, boy, is the elder council. Naruto couldn't help it, he just started laughing. He laughed uproariously into the angry faces of the elder and civilian councils. Sume, one of Naruto's strongest allies, spoke up. You want to let us in on the joke, pup? Naruto offered a goofy smile to Tsume. I just thought that she was making a joke. Wait? What? Is she serious? He said incredulously. Homura stepped forward to back up his fellow elder. You are reported to have attacked Uchiha Sasuke no less than 3 times. You also assaulted Haruno Sakura and placed an unauthorized seal on her. Naruto looked incredulously at Tsunade before turning to address the Shinobi Council with a flourish. Ah, that. Well, I will start by apologizing to Mikoto-sama for revealing this information. Sasuke attacked me, with the curse seal active, for the first time after the fight on the glacier. He was mad that I finished off his opponent. Yes, I beat his ass down and applied a paralysis seal in self-defense. The second time was when he was attempting to force himself on the now leader of Spring Country. Yes, I beat him down again because rape is reprehensible. The third time it wasn't even me, Kakashi did so, and I simply applied a chakra suppression seal and a paralysis tag. As for the Banshee, I applied a silencing seal to her with the express approval of my Jonin sensei after the daimyo requested that she remain silent in her presence. If Kakashi left it applied, then that was his decision as a Jonin sensei. Are you serious, Naruto? A stupefied Kimichi asked. Naruto nodded. What the hell was Kakashi doing? Shikaku, Jonin commander, asked. During the first conflict, he was engaged against an opponent in chakra armor. During the second one, he was sleeping. It was Sasuke's shift to guard the princess and I sensed the disturbance and panic in her chakra. He witnessed and approved of my actions in the last two cited incidents. Naruto replied professionally. Don't you dare lie to us, boy, Koharu sneered. How have I lied? Naruto shot back. We have sworn statements from Uchiha Sasuke and Haruno Sakura. Koharu revealed. Naruto shrugged, then you were lied to. If you would like to read the message Hokage-sama received from Koyuki Kazahana herself, then you should ask her. Tsunade had been smirking through the whole exchange, waiting for the time to reveal said letter to get the most impact. Naruto is right. The daimyo of Spring Country documented the incidents in question and gave character statements for each member of the former Team 7. What do you mean former? Naruto asked. I am hereby disbanding Team 7. For their misconduct on the mission and for the shame they brought on Konoha, the ninja licenses of Uchiha Sasuke and Haruno Sakura are hereby suspended pending a full psychological evaluation. Hatake Kakashi is to be reassigned to his duty as ambassador to Wave Country. Chunin Uzumaki will be assigned to a medical research team to explore the medical possibilities of his bloodline until such a time as he can be placed in a Chunin team. This earned outrage from many parties present. Surprisingly, Mikoto was pleased to hear that her son would be removed from service until his seal and psychological stability could be addressed. You cannot do that, Homura shouted. Sasuke is the heir of the Uchiha, and he is one of a few active Sharingan users in the village. Tsunade grunted and shrugged, I don't care. His mission performances point to him as a liability and it is clear that he needs help. He should be grateful that it is only a suspension. It went on like this for another 10 minutes and it ended when all clan heads and a couple honest civilians offered their public support. The civilian council was so much easier to manage without the Haruno Banshee there. That particular Banshee was locked up in a maximum security prison out near the fire capital for embezzlement, blackmail and attempted assassination of a child and clan heir, that child being Naruto. Tsunade rubbed her temples and looked ruefully at Naruto before asking, is there anything else that needs to be addressed? Hi, Hokage-sama, Naruto said professionally, which let Tsunade know it was serious. I have completed the removal seal for the caged bird seal, and I have the Dujutsu protection seal. I wish to claim the right to remove the seals from the Hyugas. They will then pay me full price for the application of the new protection seals per the grudge agreement. Tsunade turned to Hyashi, anything to say on this? Hyashi stood stoically, the Hyuga will comply to said terms. The fair price of sealing is 1,000 ryu a person, is that correct? That seems reasonable. Naruto responded. I will make it easy, and take the math out of the equation. I will do the full clan for 100,000 ryu. Do you accept? Shikaku raised his head off the table, why would you have your price? Naruto laughed and shrugged, I won the annual Tanzakugai poker tournament, I am finally getting my inheritance and I sell seals. The money wasn't the big issue for me, it was accomplishing my fiancé's dream and doing right by branch family. You went through a grudge fight to let them off easy? Sume asked with a raised eyebrow. I hit them hard enough already, Naruto said playfully. I believe in laying old grudges to rest and I think 100,000 ryu is enough payment for a day or two's work. I accept, Uzumaki-san, Hyashi said stoically. He was internally relieved because the branch family was getting impatient. I only request that the new seals are tested before used upon my clan. Naruto nodded, I will test them on Hinata. Will that suffice? Hyashi nodded slightly. Tsunade pounded her fist on the desk, this council meeting is over. No more pesky issues. Naruto, I will be present to deal with any issues. When will you do this? Free birds and old grudges laid to rest, Tsunade watched Naruto work. That was the only way to describe it when he was in his serious mode. He had prepared 2 sealing tags for Hinata, one for removing the caged bird seal and the other for applying the Byakugan protection seal. He was going to need to come up with a better name than that, but it would do for now. Regardless, one of his girls was at risk here and he was going to double check and recheck the double checking before he put Hinata at risk. Hinata was waiting on the exam table, and she saw Naruto fussing over the seals. She walked up behind him and embraced him around his abdomen while laying her head into his back. Ruto-kun, I trust you with everything I am. Just do what you always do, and things will be fine. Naruto leaned back into her embrace and his stiff posture softened in her hands. I need to be sure, Hinata giggled and turned him around. Well, I am sure. I trust you. Hinata's white eyes with a beautiful lavender sheen penetrated straight through his own and saw into his soul. She leaned up on her tippy toes and placed a chaste kiss on Naruto's lips. She didn't want to do much more than that while they were being watched. Plus, her father was in attendance, and she was still terrified of the man. Through the one-way glass, Kurenai watched the loving scene and once again conceded that maybe Naruto wasn't so bad, despite his perversions. She was standing next to Hiashi, Karen, Anko, and Shizune. They were all present to watch the removal and make sure that it would be safe for his clan. While Hiashi couldn't publicly support Naruto or his daughter, he was internally touched by the scene. Hitomi had always been able to calm him down and she did it in much the same manner. See? Our man isn't so bad, Hyuga Dono, Anko said in a teasing fashion. That remains to be seen. Hiashi answered stoically with his arms crossed in front of his chest. Kurenai shuffled nervously as Naruto removed the prisoner seal block that he had applied. He then applied the removal tag over the seal on her forehead. Kurenai watched him close his eyes and offer a prayer before he put 2 fingers on the tag. Kurenai's hands covered her mouth as the tag glowed blue and she closed her eyes unable to watch the result. When she heard Hinata's voice come through the speakers, she let out a sigh of relief. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you, Naruto-kun. Hinata's voice crackled through the speakers. I love you too, Hina-hime. Naruto replied while holding her in his arms. In her excitement, Hinata may have forgotten about the spectators. Hiashi growled and need to be held back when he heard Hinata say the following in a husky whisper, you know, Ruto-kun, we are due to be married anyway. Maybe tonight, maybe we could. Hiashi was then forced to watch as the brat that ruined his clan ravaged his daughter's mouth with a tongue-filled kiss. He growled, grudge or no, seal or no, I'm going to kill that brat. Anko pushed the button to the intercom, hey lover, you may want to run. Hiashi looks positively murderous. As Hiashi broke free from Anko's constrictor snakes, Naruto was bolting out of the room. The chase left the hospital and lasted for 10 minutes before Naruto came walking back in with an extremely smug look on his face. Anko put her hands on her hips in her sexy pose and asked the question on everyone's mind. How did you pull that one off? Naruto shrugged, sexy no jutsu, multiplied 100 times. Anko burst out in laughter and Shizune looked on questioningly, Ruto, what is the sexy no jutsu? Naruto went through the hand signs and was enveloped in a cloud of smoke. When the smoke cleared, a Shizune was looking at her sexily while wearing red lingerie. That lingerie worked really well to make the most of Shizune's natural assets. Shizune remained frozen when Naruto, in Shizune's form, put a hand behind her head and pulled her into a searing kiss. Shizune, caught off guard by the kiss from herself, eventually just surrendered to the amazing kiss. Everyone in the room watched on in amusement until Karen asked, you kissed Hiashi? Naruto broke the kiss and broke out in laughter, hell no. I hit him with the multiple variant of the sexy no jutsu that I dubbed the harem no jutsu. And then what happened? Tsunade asked as she walked into the room with Hinata. He, fainted. Medical diagnoses would be sudden loss of consciousness due to nosebleed. Naruto answered and earned a round of laughter. With no enraged father nearby, Naruto placed the new seal on Hinata behind her left ear. It wasn't even visible under the hairline and that was how Naruto intended it. The seal was about the size of a nickel, and he let Tsunade inspect it after it was applied. When Hinata channeled chakra in a certain pattern to the seal, it could forcibly shut down her Byakugan. In the event of her death, the Byakugan would deactivate. In the event of forced removal, the severance of the link to the seal would short-circuit the Byakugan. That was how he designed it and the thoroughness of the seal was why it took so long to develop. He had gotten the seal approved after the demonstration and prepared 209 new Byakugan protection seals and 190 removal seals. The Hyuga clan used to have 232 members, but Naruto killed 8 of the elders in the finals, 10 died during the invasion, 2 died trying to get to Anko in the hospital and he had to kill 2 Hyuga after bringing Tsunade back and before he went to Snow Country. It was for projects like this that having shadow clones really paid off. Unfortunately, a seal this strong needed blood and chakra-infused ink. This resulted in Naruto taking blood pills daily to allow Kurama's chakra to resupply the blood he was infusing into his ink. The removal of the caged bird seal was witnessed by Hinata, Tsunade, Shizune and the whole Hyuga clan. Preparing the sealing tags meant that it was a pretty quick endeavor. If he didn't do that, and he did it by sheer chakra manipulation, then he would have passed out from chakra exhaustion. Thus, he was grateful to his preparation time for making this whole process easier. Alas, 190 clones were formed and removed the seals from the branch family simultaneously. 18 more clones formed and then the Byakugan protection seals were applied behind the left ears of each Hyuga. Naruto himself approached Hyuga Hiashi with a genuine smile on his face. Hyuga Dono, I know I have said this multiple times, but the grudge is truly water under the bridge. With this done, I would like to move forward towards a better future. A future where our clans are not enemies. Hiashi nodded. It will be a matter of necessity moving forward seeing as you are engaged to my daughter. Naruto chuckled sheepishly at that, but Hiashi pressed on. When should I expect the wedding? Naruto shrugged. We are young, and she wanted the chance to fall in love with me rather than simply idolize me. We are setting the date for New Year's Day after her 18th birthday. Hiashi nodded at that answer and bent down to receive his Dujutsu protection seal. With this final application, the Hyuga clan was free. It was then that the name of the seal came to Naruto, and he dubbed it the Free Bird Seal. He named it this to ensure that the horrible legacy of the caged bird seal was never forgotten. The Hyuga accepted the name and they agreed that the Uzumaki clan would be the only clan allowed to apply the seal. It was far too intricate for the pathetic excuse for a sealing master that the Hyuga possessed. Plus, the previous seal master was killed during the Chunin exams. He was evidently one of the 8 that charged the field. After that day, the floodgates opened with Hinata and Naruto got his first taste of the insatiable nymphomaniac that was known as Hinata. What she lacked in experience she more than made up for in raw passion. She was also the first girl not to pass out from pleasure overload and she was able to go the distance on her first night with Naruto. 6 sessions over 5.5 hours and Hinata finally called it quits and took a power nap in place of a good night's sleep. This highlighted a problem that Naruto was having. With so many beautiful and insatiable women, Naruto rarely got a good night's sleep. He rarely, if ever, got a full 8 hours. Furthermore, every night he would summon clones and do a clone shuffle so that nobody knew who got the real Naruto. After Anko and Tsunade started popping clones to test this, Naruto secretly developed a stabilizing seal powered by Kurama's chakra that made his shadow clones more resilient. Thus, his girls wouldn't be able to tell who got the real Ruto, which actually alleviated their concerns and jealousy. It made for a content bunch of ladies that were grateful for nightly massages, love and cuddling. Catching up with the rookies, Naruto had been enjoying the slight break offered to him by Tsunade. His assignment to the medical research team was really just him working with Shizune, Hinata, Karen, and Tsunade, when she had the time. Thus, it was an amazing experience that didn't feel like work at all. They were busy studying his blood and running tests on it. They also did an exam with his semen, which the girls were more than happy to assist with. Unfortunately for them, each load during the experiment needed to be collected in a cup so they missed out on the warm feeling that tingled through their bodies when Naruto released inside. His official duties aside, Naruto was working with Jiraiya to prepare his father's former study, now his, into a chamber for him to attempt to gain control of Kurama's chakra. Kurama assisted in this, and she promised him she wouldn't fight him over it, but there was still substantial risk. Kurama's chakra carried the hatred, rage and anger she felt for humanity. Naruto had naturally alleviated some of this, but before he gains access to the full sum of her chakra, he would need to be able to deal with all of that. Thus, he was creating sealing matrices that would contain him or drain him of chakra should he lose control. It was long and exhausting work and Naruto needed a break. A distraction came in the form of one Yamanaka Ino. She was always Miss Popular and she readily took it upon herself to set up events for the rookies and clan heirs to bond. Naruto had missed a few get-togethers while he was in Spring Country and Ino was bound and determined to have him present for this one. Thus, Ino tracked down Hinata to give her the invite and she demanded that Hinata bring Naruto. Naruto agreed to go, and he made sure that Karen was present to meet his friends. He walked into the Akimichi barbecue to see teams 8, 9 and 10 present. The Jonin sensei were sitting together in a nearby booth and Naruto winked to Anko, who was catching up with Kurenai, Yugao, who had been forced to take leave from Onbu, Hana Inuzuka, Asuma, and Might Guy. The two groups took up the back quarter of the Akimichi restaurant and it made for a rowdy atmosphere. After Naruto sat down, Ino began the inquisition before he could even order. So, Naruto, is it true that you are going to be in the new Princess Gale movie? Naruto smiled in fond reminiscence of Koyuki. Yup. Ino pouted, oh, come on. You have to spill the details. I talked to Sakura, and she said that Koyuki was a massive bitch. Naruto growled at that. You talked to the kunoichi that is on forced suspension from active duty because she is a fangirl to Sasuke, and she deafens clients on the regular. She didn't like Koyuki because Koyuki chose me over Sasuke to act in the movie, for obvious reasons. Tenten was laughing. What are these obvious reasons? Naruto smirked and decided to make light of the situation. I don't think Sasuke would be much of an actor when 90% of his vocabulary is a variation of HN. This earned a round of laughter from the rookies, even Neji chuckled. Hinata giggled, you should ask him about what he did with Koyuki in the movie? Her giggles turned slightly perverted. And outside of the movie? Spill, Ino shouted excitedly. Naruto sighed, already predicting the outcome sharing this information. Well, she is a passionate woman. The director thought we were naturals, so I had to do multiple shoots of a love scene in the movie. Why multiple shoots? Kuji asked while drooling and looking at the menu. Naruto hesitated to answer this one. She kept forgetting her lines. How would a professional actress forget her lines? Shikamaru asked with a raised eyebrow. Sigh, I made her orgasm too many times in a row and she got lightheaded. Naruto finally said reluctantly. I can speak to that. It gets hard to think after a while. Anko chirped from the nearby booth. This got blushes from all females and disbelieving looks from the males. I can too, Ruto is simply too gifted, Karen said while drooling a bit. Hinata's nympho side was starting to show, and she was giggling so perversely that it could no longer be ignored. No, Ino gasped, no way, no frickin' way. You banged the princess? Naruto shrugged, banged, fucked, made love, devoured, call it whatever you want, but yes, I did. Trickles of blood from Shikamaru, Kiba, Shino, Neji, Asuma and surprisingly Mike Guy. Giggles from Hinata, Karen, and Anko. Blushes from Ino, Tenten, Kurenai, and Yugao. Everyone was having a variety of reactions that all centered around Naruto's sex life. Imagine what they would think if they knew I joined in. Kurama giggled within the mindscape. It is hard enough for them to wrap their heads around already. Naruto thought back. At that moment, Kiba banged his hands on the table and shattered the mood. You bastard. Ruto, how could you? How could you do that to Hinata? Naruto raised an eyebrow at Kiba. Hinata knew what she signed up for and I gave her the chance to back out. I love each of my women and they me. I admit it is unorthodox, but you have 3 of them here. Feel free to ask any of them what they think about it. Hinata glared at Kiba. She knew about the crush he had on her, but she only liked him as a friend. I have an attentive boyfriend and multiple sisters. It is the happiness I have ever been. Anko jumped over the booth and glommed onto Hinata. Aw, I always wanted a lil sis. But, I say the same, she said. Despite the number, he tends to each of us. I can't wait until we can all start sharing at the same time. This statement dispelled Kiba's anger by making him pass out with a nosebleed. Naruto coughed while Karen giggled and snuggled into him. Can we talk about anything other than my love life? Shino pushed up his glasses. How do you feel about your team being disbanded? Great. Naruto answered simply before everyone looked at him expectantly. That team was destined for failure, and I told the Sandaime that a couple days before team assignments. Yugao was there when I did it. Kurenai stepped in here. Well, I requested you. So, why did he put you on Team 7? Naruto sighed, because he knew I could handle it. It was between me and Kiba for your team, we are both good trackers and frontline fighters. It came down to Kakashi claiming me due to his relationship with my father. Also, Kiba wouldn't have been able to work well at all with someone like Sasuke, especially with his loyal fangirl ever present. Akamaru whined at that, yip, moan. Kiba was conscious once more and he looked gratefully at Naruto. Thanks for taking that hit. Kurenai was still confused. So, he put you on Team 7 knowing you wouldn't work well together? Pretty much. It was always destined for failure, but that wasn't his fault. Sasuke is the most egotistical and self-righteous person I have ever seen. Sakura was so blinded by her affection for him that she couldn't think logically. They weren't fit to be shinobi from the start. Guy frowned. It is up to the sensei to correct such unyouthful behavior. Naruto raised an eyebrow. You are the eternal rival of my sensei, are you not? He is too caught up in his own issues to correct such deep-rooted issues in anyone else. In conclusion, Team 7 was a shot in the dark that was destined to fail. I accepted it because I knew the Chunin exams were coming up and I knew that I could earn a promotion. What made you so confident? Asuma asked in challenge. Naruto smiled eerily at Asuma. I was as strong as Itachi when she graduated. I am enough to match her right now. What would that make me? Asuma shook his head in denial. There is no way you are as rank at your age. Naruto laughed. Where is Jiraiya when you need him? He shrugged before continuing. Feel free not to believe me. Next time you run into Jiraiya, ask him when the first time I landed a hit on him was. Then, ask him when I beat him in a spar for the first time. The only thing I haven't been able to surpass is his Sage mode. That being said, I have plans to start my Sage training soon enough. Asuma's cigarette fell out of his mouth, the rookie's eyes were wide, and the overall aura was disbelief by those that weren't considered precious to Naruto. Naturally, it was Anko that spoke up. By the time he graduated, he could regularly beat me in spars. Not all of the time, but now I can't stand up to him. You could beat a Jonin when you graduated? Ino challenged. Then why didn't you graduate early? Naruto sighed and Karen grabbed his hand. You all know what I revealed in the Chunin exam finals, right? There were hesitant looks exchanged between the group. Shino spoke up. You revealed that you were a namikaze and that you had the QB in your seal, among other things. Anko chuckled wryly. The damn civilian council had it out bad for him. They still do, Neji said, his first words of the meeting. That is still a mystery to me. If your childhood was so bad, then why do you fight for the village? Why do you accept their hatred? The group got their first genuine, if not sorrowful, smile from Naruto, and it shocked them. I was lucky enough to find a few people that saved me from the darkness. They saw me for who I was, loved me, trained me, and it was and is for them that I fight for Konoha. His girls each snuggled into him, which meant Anko was on his lap, Hinata on his right and Karen on his left. We are here for you, love. Wow, Ino gasped at the genuinely powerful statement. Lee was crying and he spoke in a whisper, that is most youthful. Guy reached over the booth and put a hand on his shoulder. Kurenai looked remorseful. She had judged the boy on many occasions and spoken so poorly of his perversions. She knew how happy he made Anko, but she never knew what inspired his debauchery. If it was a desperation for companionship, could she really blame him? Yu Gao had been listening silently. She had been listening impassively. She hadn't felt alive or whole since the death of Hayate, and she resonated sharply with Naruto's words. This drew silent tears from her eyes and drew Naruto's attention to her. He hadn't seen her since the invasion, but once Anko had awoken and heard about Yu Gao, he heard about her current state. This motivated him to speak.
Yu Gao-sensei, I heard about Hayate.
I am sorry it took me for so long to check in. Can we catch up over a spar? His voice was soft and Yu Gao knew that he instantly understood her. She couldn't speak, she simply nodded and got a soft smile out of him. Karen decided to distract the others from the intimate scene. So, Shikamaru and Shino, you two got promoted, huh? Indeed, Shino said stoically with a small nod. Shikamaru sighed, it was so damn troublesome. I did everything I could to make sure my mom wouldn't be mad at me, and I wouldn't get promoted. Then, the damn troublesome council promoted me anyways. Hinata giggled, maybe if you didn't put so much thought and effort into being lazy, then they wouldn't have promoted you, Shikamaru-san. Ino burst out in guttural laughter at that. I couldn't have said it better myself. Naruto spoke up, so, where are the next Chunin exams? They are in a couple months, right? Iwa. Asuma responded. We will not be sending any teams to participate. Bummer, I am going to be a Jinan for another 9 months. Kiba groaned and got an affirmative bark from Akamaru. What makes you think you will earn promotion, pup? Hana asked with a knowing smile on her face. Kiba scoffed, if I didn't have to fight against Naruto in the prelims, then I would have been able to show my stuff in the finals. With the weight and resistance seals, Akamaru and I will mow down the competition. How are those working out for you two? Naruto asked while placing the meat that arrived on the grill. Bark, 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 long yip, Akamaru said excitedly. Kiba laughed, Akamaru is right. He is much stronger and faster. If you were wondering, he carries 200 pounds total on his harness. I am at 20 pounds on my arms, 100 pounds on my chest and 50 pounds on my legs. That is so youthful. Oh, how beautifully bright and fiery your flames of youth burn, Kiba-san, Lee exclaimed and was immediately back up by Guy. Is that the secret to your strength, Naruto? Tenten asked. Part of it, Naruto answered. My bloodline helps a lot. You guys have to sleep and wait a couple days to recover from a vigorous workout. Between my bloodline and Tenant, I can work out and heal the damage instantly. My only limiting factor is blood and chakra, one of which I have a bijou goddess to help out with. Guy understood the ramifications of what Naruto was saying. Naruto, that is, most youthful. This got everyone to sweat drop at the typical word choice after the anticlimactic pause. Well, some things change, and others never do, Naruto said, and everyone broke into laughter. The rest of the meeting went well, and it was good to catch up with the rookies and their sensei. Alright guys, that's it for the video. If you enjoyed it, please feel free to leave a like and subscribe. As always, the rest of the story is already out over on Patreon, link to that will be in the description. Anyways, until next time, peace.